I tell this story a lot, and I change the situation all the time. Because sometimes when I'm telling the story to people, I can tell it as it actually happened. And then when I'm telling it to a big group, then I start rethinking it. I know I can't tell you how it actually happened. But I was on a public mode of transportation for a long period of time when a small child was unleashed in this arena. Now, understandably, his mother was tired of catering to his needs because he was little and he needed a lot of attention. You know, you have kids that something that tends to happen. You got to pay attention to him. But apparently she was tired. So she unleashed him on the passenger. And little Buckwheat ran up and down. Little Buckwheat ran up and down the aisle. What's that? What's that? What's that? Ooh, 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 ooh. See, because his mother had said, ooh, look, there's Whoppi Goldberg. You know her from Elmo. Now, let us say I just entered into my menopausal phase. So I wasn't quite the same Whoopi I was on Sesame Street. And this little boy, having been told I'm a nice lady, decided he was going to focus his attention on me and everything I was doing. And what was in my bag, and what are you doing? Can I touch it? He was in my bag. He was on my stuff. I said, little boy, come here. Go and sit down. Go and sit down. Because you're tired. I'm tired of you. I think if you give me a little break, I can last this trip. So the little boy went over to his mom, who said, oh, she doesn't mean it. Come on, you've got a lot of energy. Let it go. Let it go. Other passengers on this vehicle were now gritting their teeth because he was loud, and he was touching, and he was sneezing. And you know, no one has taught little children to cover their mouths, little petri dishes. So his mama sent him back in the aisles to run amok, and passengers were looking and breathing hard, and no one was saying anything because everybody was afraid. Because I guess now there's some law that says you can't say your child's annoying me. Everybody's trying to be politically correct. It's not politically correct when a child is in your face and has no boundaries, or adults either, but that's another matter. So little Buckwheat ran up and ran down and ran up and ran down. So I said, little boy, come here. And I made him get really close to me, crusty nose and all. I said, if you don't sit down, I am going to eat you. This sent his mother into a fit. How could I frighten a child like that? How could I say something so horrific to the child like that? I said, because he has to know there are consequences to his actions. And if you're not going to sit him down, I've got to do whatever I have to do short of beating his ass.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade Justice in for another program to share constructive information, hopefully, on the system of white supremacy. If you are not getting constructive information, do not waste your time. We have way too many problems and do not want black people, non-white people, wasting time. At any rate, I again want to thank the gentleman who made the suggestion. Check out some of Whoopi Goldberg's work. You could probably do a really interesting analysis of, racism, white supremacy, just looking at a lot of her films and her entire entertainment career. And it's ongoing. I was looking at news reports today and remembering her defense of really interesting white people, Mel Gibson and some other folks, I believe Mr. Polanski as well, who pedophile. At any rate, I was checking the news, and March 16th, the headline, Whoopi Goldberg is defending Gilbert Gottfried. We can share that article as we roll. At any rate, before we get started, I definitely want to say Whoopi Goldberg, black female, non-white person, victim of white supremacy. The problem is white people. This is not to throw rocks at Ms. Goldberg. This is to further understand racism, white supremacy, and I hope people that are tuning in who maybe have seen some of her films, she's such a humongous body of work. Who knows which films you could have seen, but hopefully you will think a little bit more, all of us, when we watch films, so that we're not letting racist content just pass us by and infect us consciously, subconsciously. Be much more mindful when viewing films, and so we can all be more informed so that we can make better decisions. I wholeheartedly believe if more non-white people had a better understanding of racism, white supremacy, non-white people in all areas of activity would make much better decisions, period. That said, this program, we will be joined again by one of our favorite guests at the Context of White Supremacy. She has been just incredibly supportive, huge investor. She's got books. Not only has she invested resources, material resources, she has invested her time calling in the programs, being a guest to come and share her insight and views on racism, white supremacy. And I've said it repeatedly. I think it's really important for non-white people to hear non-white females, black females who are less confused and speaking out against racism, white supremacy. I think that's incredibly important, whether it's Justice, whether it's Dr. Welsing or our guest for the evening. It's really important, and I try to support that as often as possible in giving non-white people access to non-white females who are less confused and doing the work of replacing white supremacy with justice. And our guest for the evening, a sterling example, working on her second book. Hopefully it'll be out soon. We can get more information and get our hands on it so we can share that with other black folks, non-white people. Our guest for the evening, she is one of the co-authors of Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation. The website, TrojanHorse1.com, and that is the number one. So TrojanHorse1.com. Always a pleasure to have on the program our guest, Pam. Pam, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Gus. Good evening, Justice.
She is not in the house at this moment, but
okay.
I will alert everyone when she gets on. Good to hear from you, as always.
Same here.
For sure. How are you doing this evening?
Still fighting on the plantation.
Dig it. Ditto. I know the feeling. And she was super flexible. The original time for the program was supposed to be 9 Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, and I needed an extra 30 minutes. The Whoopi Goldberg material is just overflowing. Before I get, just general thoughts on the career of the victim of white supremacy known as Whoopi Goldberg. The sound clip that began the program, I wanted to ask if you had any thoughts. I thought that would be an interesting way to begin the program. Did you have any thoughts on the stand-up routine that was Whoopi Goldberg? And that was a more recent routine. She did a lot of stand-up when she first started out in the 80s, but this was a routine that was done in the last, I would say, 8 years or so, so much more recent act.
Yeah, I do have a question. I may have missed it. She kept calling the little boy Buckwheat. Was he a white or non-white? I mean, is he a white or non-white child?
You heard everything that I heard. There was no other information. I listened to that whole skit online, and I didn't hear any other information about the child. So You heard what I heard.
Okay, because I couldn't imagine her calling a white child buckwheat. So I assumed it was a black child, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell from the clip. Of course, if it was a black child, that's a whole other dimension to that routine.
Hmm. I mean, that's why I thought that would be a really interesting one to start with, because it is vague. It is vague. Like, she doesn't, I know when she does the stand-up bit, she's in front of a mostly white audience.
Mm-hmm.
I was not sure if, the child that she was talking about was a white person or a non-white person. I have never, I don't think ever in my life, heard anyone reference a white person as buckwheat.
Me either.
So that, I mean, maybe the child was white. Maybe, that was part of her joke. I'm going to call I'm going to reference a white person as buckwheat, and, they won't get it. That'll be just maybe that was what was going on. I don't know. I just thought it really stood, and so much of her material stands out. This is one of the few times where I'm a little uncertain as to what's happening. The rest of the time it stands out, and I'm still pretty clear about what's happening, but this one was a little vague. And I guess I would throw in, just for the record, that in I want to give the exact date, in 1994, Whoopi Goldberg was in the feature-length film The Little Rascals, and she played Buckwheat's mom.
Mm. Oh boy! I didn't even know they made a film of like that. God, what was the point of that?
Who knows? Racism, white supremacy. Actually, scratch the initial response. We know it's racism, white supremacy. That is always the point, and that goes exactly to the point that the caller who said Whoopi Goldberg, that would be a great study in white supremacy. He brought that up in reference to Eddie Murphy and saying how similar their careers are. Eddie Murphy was infamous for playing buckwheat on Saturday night.
Buckwheat just won't die, will he?
I mean, I'm not telling anybody you got to watch these films or anything, but some of this content, maybe just for 5 minutes, just so you can kind of get an idea of what we have been saturated in with this television for the past, 50, 60, whatever, how many ever years. It might be constructive, because Eddie Murphy's buckwheat was huge. I mean, it was wildly popular. They even did a skit where buckwheat gets shot, and they keep doing all these news flashes to get an update on how buckwheat is doing in the hospital. Real degrading material. But that's Whoopi Goldberg, Eddie Murphy. Do you have any general thoughts to kind of get us started on Whoopi Goldberg and how her career, how really she has been victimized and used to support the system of white supremacy?
Well, I did have one more thing to say about the clip. I mean, about this buckwheat thing. It seems like, does this buckwheat remind you of Huckleberry Finn?
Yes.
Buckwheat being the nigger Jim?
Totally.
Okay. Because that's what crossed my mind was as soon as you said that buckwheat got shot, I thought, about nigger Jim. Black people being injured is humorous, and I'm pretty sure now that she was talking about a black kid, and I think that she used the word buckwheat to let the white people know I'm talking about a black kid, and I think that reassured them that she wasn't mistreating their kids.
Oh.
When she was threatening to eat a child, she wasn't threatening to eat a white child, and so-called, because I've watched white people, particularly middle class, middle income, neurotic white people with their children, and it is a real sight. I mean, you would think that the children are made of glass, and those children are pushing them around. I've just seen some really crazy things, and I can imagine that they would not think it was funny for her to say she's going to eat a white child. But then again, maybe they would have. But I think buckwheat, in my opinion, was the tip-off to the white audience without directly identifying the ethnicity of the child was, I think it might have been a way of letting those white people know, I'm talking about a black kid. Maybe not. That's what I would have assumed. If I heard somebody refer to a child as buckwheat, my first thought would have been a black child.
What would your response be if someone said, "Oh, see, the problem of racism is people like you. See, why does buckwheat have to be a black person? I mean, yeah, Eddie Murphy did whatever, and Whoopi Goldberg did the film, and the Little Rascals from 60 years ago or whenever the television show came on. That's way back then. But are you saying that we can't call a white person buckwheat? We can't call a non-black person buckwheat?"
Well, I would ask them this question. When's the last time you saw a white person playing buckwheat? Now, if you can tell me what TV show, movie, comedy skit where you saw a white person playing buckwheat, then, I'll stand corrected. But I've never seen a white person playing buckwheat. I've never heard a white person referred to as buckwheat. So, give me some proof. That's what I would say. Yeah, so you're going to make the statement. Back it up.
For the record, I've never heard a white person referenced as buckwheat in my life, ever. I would just say for folks, for everybody, I guess, really, that clip, if, she is talking about a black person, there's some very interesting remarks. I would almost even say they're trends of the parent being irresponsible, not keeping an eye on their child, not disciplining the child. I'll just say those sound very familiar when black people are the target. When black parents, black moms, black dads, that seems to be a real popular strategy for racists and to get other non-white people to chide and admonish non-white people for not being quality parents under white supremacy. So I don't know if she was talking about a white person or a black person, but I'll just say if she was talking about a black person, there are a lot of other things that were said during that little 5-minute segment that would stand out as very interesting if she's talking about a black child.
That stereotype of the black mother not controlling her children, and even though it could have been funny that you tell a child you're going to eat them, I mean, on a subconscious, obvious level, on a conscious level, it pleases them to hear, to think of black people mistreating other black people, and just a black person being harmed on some kind of level. You can see that there's a lot of enjoyment, and there's too much evidence that they enjoy harming black people. I mean, all you have to do is think back not so long ago, when black people were being lynched and burned, and people were having picnics and taking souvenirs and bringing their children to look at this black person dying. So that's something that's deep-seated in that psyche of theirs. So I would think that even though it could be funny if Whoopi was talking about a white child, I think it was really funny if they thought she was talking about a buckwheat.
Wow. Really interesting. Again, context of white supremacy and her. I mean, I don't know how familiar folks are with Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, if you go to Internet Movie Database and you look at her resume, I mean, it is gargantuan. Geez, I mean, we're talking about someone who has worked consistently doing films for 30 years. And I mean, not just films, not just throwaway films, Color Purple for Colored Girls, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Lion King. I mean, monstrous projects. The Ghost, we did a discussion of that yesterday. I mean, she has done huge films and projects that in my opinion, have had just a big impact in maintaining, sustaining the system of white supremacy. It's not her fault. White people are, victimizing her. White people are in charge. White people are the problem. But just as I said in the description, white people are victimizing and using her and have been doing so, same as Eddie Murphy, for more than a quarter century now. Do you have, any general thoughts just on her career? Just any general thoughts?
I have a general thought about what you just said, and that was this show has helped me immensely in not blaming black people. And I was doing quite a bit of it. And a cousin of mine, she sent me an email yesterday about an article that I had sent her, and it was about some Republican candidates saying that they should take black people and bus them to farms and have them pick crops. And if you want, I can send you the link to that. Yeah, that was I got that yesterday.
I saw that.
You saw it?
I saw it. Yeah. Man.
So I sent it to her, and her reaction was, understandably, her reaction was to blame black people. And that was, see, there's something wrong with black people, this and that. So I sent her back a thing, and I said, well, I understand what you're saying, but the focus should be on white people, not on black people. If we are so dysfunctional, as you say, who made us that way? Who created the educational system and the social systems and the economic systems that have made us dysfunctional? So once again, every time a black person comes to me and they're on a rant, or they seem to be just, instead of getting mad at the white person who said it, she was getting mad at black people. And I noticed that reaction is very common. I've had that reaction many times. And I would have to say this show has really, really, really helped me focus, and it's taken away my stress. I'm telling people out there, if you stop getting mad at other black people, because you're really getting mad at yourself when you do that. When you blame other black people, you're blaming yourself. And it increases our self-hatred, and increases our self-loathing, and it destroys our self-esteem when we do that. And you'll find, at least for me, that my stress in dealing with racism, white supremacy has taken a different direction. So that's what it reminded me of when you said that, when you keep emphasizing Whoopi Goldberg is a victim, it takes away my hostility toward Whoopi. When you say that Eddie Murphy is a victim, it takes away my hostility toward Eddie Murphy, even Obama. And then I'm more focused. So I would have to say that's been immensely, I can't even tell you how immensely this has helped me, just focusing on the real problem.
Yeah, that I think that's one of the key things. I think white people have kind of groomed us so that's just going to be the tendency. I think I said before, white people already know that non-white people are going to be getting upset. They know we're going to be mistreating them, jabbing them, spitting on them, doing everything we can to ruin their lives. They're going to be getting upset, and we're going to do everything we can so that when they get upset, they will be mad at another non-white person. Like every time without fail, even if they start getting upset about racism, we have already got it set up so that invariably they're going to come back to fussing at another non-white person. Like, I really... Man, I don't know if people are watching. This is probably another one you need to have the photographs up. This one, so if you can watch, maybe open up another tab or a different window, so that you can have the description for this program at Blog Talk Radio, so you can see the images rolling by. It would be good. But yeah, I think. Some years ago, I would have probably got upset at Whoopi Goldberg personally and been like, it's black people like, I had my finger out, got on my soapbox. It's black people like this that keep us down. This is why we can't get anywhere. I would have been on that hook, line, and white people love that. White people will put you on TV and that no good, and or they'll take the other side. Just anything to create conflict amongst victims. Like when you slide that finger over and say, okay, Whoopi Goldberg, these films, I don't think they're constructive, and then white people are to blame. Totally different conversation. And it demonstrates, your understanding. Whoopi Goldberg is not the reason that Color Purple came out. Whoopi Goldberg is not the reason for Colored Girls. Whoopi Goldberg, she said Patrick Swayze is the reason that she got an Oscar. I could have played a video clip of that. She said that. She said there was, to use her term, resistance to her being in the film. That's what she said on The View. This was recent when she said this. She said the wrong R word, in my opinion. She said resistance, I suspect racism, was the reason that these white people didn't even want her to be in the film. And she said that the suspected racist Patrick Swayze really wanted her to be a part in the film, said he refused to do it. But, I mean, she's not in charge. She doesn't have power. And no non-white person, not Tyler Perry, not President Obama, no non-white person, regardless of how bad they're plucking your nerves. And, I mean, a lot of us do it because we've been so confused. But white people are to blame for that. So I hope that comes through loud and clear. The problem is not Whoopi Goldberg. The problem is white people.
Right. I was watching Farrakhan on Mike Wallace. This was I don't know how many years ago this was. Probably maybe 2 decades ago. It was on YouTube, and I watched Mike Wallace being interviewed. Well, actually Farrakhan being interviewed by Mike Wallace, and I would suggest people go on YouTube and look at that. And you saw the same technique, and this might have been 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, the same technique. Farrakhan was jumping down Mike Wallace's throat, checking him. And I was sitting there looking at it, and I was basically just, I was making noise too, like, get him. And anyway, so Mike Wallace, he turned around and he brought up a non-white person, a black male, and tried to make Farrakhan turn his attention to what this black male said about Farrakhan. Well, what do you think about that? And I was looking at it, and I said, man, they've been doing this for a long time. And right then and there, I saw the same technique. When they get on the hot seat, when that white person gets on the hot seat, they turn that attention, that black person's attention to another black person. And if you really want to check it and see it happening, and this is just a taste of what has been happening for a long time, you can look at that Farrakhan and Mike Wallace, just Google it on YouTube or search for it on YouTube, and you'll see that same. And Farrakhan, he's smart. He didn't fall for it. He said, that's my brother, and blah, 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 in that smooth way he does. And I said, man, I don't know if I would have caught that 4 years ago. I don't know. I may not have caught that this was a technique. I might have seen that Mike Wallace was full of crap, but I don't know that I would have seen it as a technique, as something that they do over and over again. I don't think I would have seen that 2 years ago, or recognized it as a technique.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have either. I just wouldn't have paid that close of attention. I think, and white people know that. White people know that it doesn't take much in terms of words to divert our attention or to distract us, to break our focus. They know that. That's a part of their victimization too. But yeah, I think that's fantastic, and I would definitely encourage folks to check that out. And I've heard Minister Farrakhan speak about that before when he said that white people have, attempted to get him into conflict with other non-white people, and how he's tried to avoid that, particularly as he's gotten older. He's learned how to be better about trying to minimize conflict. Very codified. I wanted to get in a sound clip. Again, she has so much material. I mean, you could do volumes. I think you could probably do a whole college course on the career of Whoopi Goldberg under racism, white supremacy. Probably a whole lot of people like that. Michael Jackson, Whoopi Goldberg, Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry, just tons of people that you would learn a lot. This is the opening, and I mean like the first 2 seconds of Sister Act that I wanted to play. I thought this was really interesting. It's a white woman, whole class of white people, Whoopi Goldberg, the only black person in the room, much like Avery in Off and Running, who was on the program earlier this week. But that first opening scene, and Dolores, that's Whoopi Goldberg's name in the film, Dolores. But this is the opening scene from Sister Act, her big hit.
Who can name all the apostles? Yes, Dolores.
John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Dolores Wilson, you are the most unruly, disobedient girl in this school. Now, I want you to march right up to that blackboard and write the names of all the apostles alphabetically. wash my hands of you. Mark my words, Dolores, if you continue on this disruptive track, it will lead straight to the devil. Have you any idea what girls like you become?
Very beginning of Sister Act, 1992 film, just so that, you can catch the full joke, have total context for that scene. When she tells her to go on the board and write the apostles' names, the name that she writes is Elvis. So we got Ringo, Beatles, I believe, and then Elvis, and the apostles. Any thoughts on that opening scene from Sister Act?
Well, in Sister Act, I didn't watch the movie because I really couldn't take it. She was a grown woman in a class full of younger students.
This early scene is from her childhood, so this is showing her at like 12, and then they flash forward to her as an adult.
I don't know. I guess it kind of makes me think that it just reinforces this thing that black people have to clown all the time. It's all part of, I think, the indoctrination. Is and I've experienced that myself. Is if you want to be liked, particularly by white people, you got to play a fool.
Wow, very interesting. I thought, white identification. That was one thing. That just bathed in racism, white supremacy. You got to be stuffing their so-called religion down your throat and memorizing all these apostles, and then she won't give the correct white names. She's saying Ringo and Elvis, these other white people. She's not identifying with the correct white people that they want her to. I also thought it was really interesting. She says, "You're going to hell. you're going to hell." Like a 12-year-old, I just thought that this is incredible to have a grown white person saying this to a 12-year-old child, and this happens every day. That speech that you just heard, that goes out like 1,000 times a day under white supremacy, where black children, are just thrown in the garbage at schools, and that devil thing. I pick up on that big time because I see that symbolism in associating black people specifically with the devil. In fact, it was on Sanford and Son when we did that clip. Fred called Rollo Diablo. And then when I was watching Dr. Detroit, which was mentioned when we did the 80s films, Dan Aykroyd, when I watched Dr. Detroit, there's a black male character. He's a chauffeur, a la Driving Miss Daisy. He chauffeurs white people, and his name is Diablo. It was, even in the clip last night, it was the demons in Ghost, also with Whoopi Goldberg. Right. The demons that come out to take away the bad people, right. The demons are always black, and jet black. I kind of catch that association of black people with the devil.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially, and then her being, like you said, white identified was if she thought of names, they were all white people's names. The Elvis, and so obviously she was indicating these were the type of, this type of music she listened to, or the type of people that she admired. I don't know, but I do find that that's true too. What you said about the way that they talk to black children. And if I don't know if you've met many people who've shared their childhood experiences in classrooms like that, but I've heard some real horror stories, things that just make you just shrivel up inside that somebody would say to a child. Like my oldest sister once said that, I think she was in high school, and she said that the guidance counselor, I don't know what she told the guidance counselor, I forget what she said she wanted to be, and the guidance counselor told her, "Oh, you can't be that. You're not smart enough to be that." Why would you tell that to somebody's kid? And I've just heard story after story. So, when you said that about the way she talked to a child, they abuse our children all the time. And most of the time, kids don't even tell. So we don't really know how much abuse is going on in the classroom.
Yep. to laugh at it. This is humorous. You know, again, that's same thing Daryl Bain. I said that white people are very skilled at creating a context where you will support racism. You will support mistreatment of dark people. And I think, you know, that's another example. They set up this school situation, and white people know the schools are messed up for black people. Like, they know this. They'll set up a situation where you will find it humorous that a black child is being mistreated in a school full of white people and told, you know, you're hopeless, you're worthless, you should go to hell right now. Like, they'll set up a situation where you'll find that funny. You know, they're really good at that. Did anything else pop out?
No, actually, you know, you kind of, I didn't catch the stuff that you said, but now I can see it, you know, thinking about it. And it just goes to show, to some degree, you get numb to it. You know, I have to work at it because, honestly, sometimes certain types of degradation, I'm so accustomed to it, I have to actually say, okay, you know, this is messed up. But, you know, it's almost like you become kind of numb to, which I'm less numb every day, you know, but, you know, you're right. It's just par for the course, you know, mistreating, you know, it doesn't really matter if they're a child or an adult. And that's the thing that strikes me. If they're a black person, it doesn't really matter. Kids don't get a pass. It's just, you know, mistreating black people is something that they're trained to do. Or at least they get enjoyment out of somebody else doing it.
I totally agree. And with the first part especially, I think a lot of times you just get numb to it. You know, you see so much total mutilation, degradation of black people that it doesn't register. You know, it's just always seen that. Mr. Fuller said, you know, you hear 5,000, you know, black people got killed or something happened to them in Nigeria, and it's just, oh man, that's tough. Do we have any more onion rings? You know, it doesn't even stay there for a second. Like, who cares? We're on to the next thing. Meanwhile, Ann Curry finds one white woman in Japan, and the world has to come to a stop to take note and recognize that a white life and a white female life of childbearing age has been saved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you have? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, it really challenges my humanity because I'm becoming numb to. You know, it's a challenge because you know, you just can't afford to empathize, and that's a terrible thing to say, but I can't even describe it. Sometimes I question, you know, my growing callousness towards them. And so, you know, because it's irritating to me to see everything has to be about them. Everything. 10% of the world's population, 99% of the world's empathy. Give me a break. And so it makes it very difficult to empathize, particularly on TV. Face-to-face, I can empathize with another person face-to-face. In terms of broadcast and television and stuff, man, I just turn it off. When they start talking, about this stuff, I just turn it off. Because it's irritating to me. Because then again, 100 million Japanese, I believe that's how many people live in Japan, 10,000 plus dead, and I've got to listen to you talk about some white person? Are you like crazy? You know, it really ticks me off. And so I just turn the channel. Because I'm like, I'm not getting sucked up in this BS. You are not the most important thing on the planet to me. Matter of fact, you're the least important thing. So, man, it's really something.
Context of white supremacy. As I said, you know, Whoopi Goldberg, her films, really, I think to be most accurate, her victimization, in my opinion, if you understand racism, white supremacy, and you can pick out, you know, what is incorrect, what's happening in her films, you can learn a lot. And, you know, just her work motivated me to get on the grind, be more active. This clip, I think you talked about being numb and just desensitized to, the degradation and mistreatment of black people. I hope that this clip will, wake folks up to the madness that is going on. And a lot of it, just coming right through your television screen. I said on the program yesterday, I was really looking forward to watching Burglar because I knew this film had to be saturated with racism, white supremacy. I had seen it before, but I hadn't seen it since becoming, less confused about white supremacy. And, all you need to know about Burglar, Whoopi Goldberg is an ex-convict who is named Bernie. So she gets a masculine name, Bernie, ex-convict, and white people are making her steal things from other white people. That's the movie. There you go. That's all you need to know. White people are making her steal things from other white people, and it just goes from there. But that's the film, and she's in black leather for, a good chunk of the film. This clip, a white person has made her go steal something from another white person. And while she is stealing things from this white man's home, he returns. So she gets caught in his house while she's trying to steal from him. She gets locked in the closet, and she's basically just listening to what's going on. You'll hear her comments. But I think it's a really interesting scene. And if you are listening at Blog Talk Radio and you can see the photographs, the photograph of the white man who's nude from the waist down, the photograph where his genitals are in Whoopi Goldberg's face, that's the clip that you're about to hear right now. The photograph with the white man's nude genitals in Whoopi Goldberg's face, that's the clip that you're about to hear right now. This is Burglar, 1987.
This is not going to do. I would not watch dogs fucking this. But this, I would watch dogs and cats. Après-vous.
What? You shouldn't what? No. You've got to do it. Come on. Here you go.
God, why don't I have the phone number?
Right, so at this point, this is the photograph where the white man's nude genitals are in Whoopi Goldberg's face at eye level. This is the point where he's opening the closet, and the photograph that's in the description at Blog Talk Radio. So much. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I don't want people to forget when Dr. Baruti was here and we talked about his book, The Sex Imperative and the Sexual Deviance of White People. Again, that scene, Whoopi Goldberg is robbing this white man. She gets stuck in the house and stuck in the closet while these white people are engaged in sexual intercourse. And I hope people caught the line where she's, saying, oh, man, why don't I have this guy's phone number? She, of course, does not have a male sex partner in this film. And, so many of her other works, she does not have a male sex partner, but she gets stuck in the closet while these white people are having sex. Any thoughts on that segment?
Yeah, my thought was that it was almost like they knew she was watching. It's almost it's just so typical, white people and their passion and their hypersexuality, and the black person, no sexuality at all. And it's almost like what do you call it, exhibitionists? It's almost like their sexuality is tied in to some degree to black people somehow being present, being either in the bed or somehow involved, or they're rolling around in chocolate or rolling around in mud or whatever it is, It's but I just find it interesting that it's common that black females almost never have a man. And I remember the only movie I remember Whoopi Goldberg having a man was she had a white man in Karina. But I don't remember, I could be wrong, but I don't remember ever having a man other than that one movie. So it's real common, the message to black women is, the white woman's got the love life and the passion. You just got to watch because you got nothing coming. So it's just really common for black women to go solo. And I find it interesting that she's a dark-skinned black woman, and her name is Bernie, and she's a leather, and she's a criminal or ex-criminal. Queen Latifah, criminal. Yeah. They not only make black women go solo, they masculinize us, if that's a word. They make us very manly. Yeah, so I guess that explains why we don't have men. We're not woman enough. We're closer to men than women. Maybe that's why we don't have a man.
Let's see. Oh, I'm so disgruntled. I think I might be missing one of the sound clips that I wanted, but I'll upload it thanks to my trusty MacBook. In the meantime, though, I will give some of the names for Whoopi Goldberg's characters that she has played in different films, and you all can, maybe this is relevant, maybe it's not. You all can come to your own conclusion. But her name, let's see, this is in, let's see, she actually played God in a TV role. That's interesting. Let's see. Oh, I just had a whole bunch of again, her film resume is massive. So I mean, it's considerably longer than most other film resumes that I have checked out. Okay, in Homer and Eddie, this came out in 1989. Her name was Eddie. The film Burglar that I just played the clip from, 1987. Her name Bernie Rodenbar. But they call her Bernie for the film. I don't think anyone calls her Bernice in the film. They call her Bernie. Let's see, you got Eddie. She is Rose Schwartz in Soap Dish. Schwartz, I have been told, means black in German.
Right, it does. Isn't it a Jewish name, too?
Yes, ma'am. I believe so. In Loaded Weapon 1, she is Sergeant Billy York. The title of the film, Loaded Weapon 1, 1993, Sergeant Billy York. Let's see.
Oh, man.
Irwin in A Cool Like That Christmas, Irwin.
Wow.
And you all can check this out yourself. I'm just looking at Internet Movie Database, just looking at the film. Eddie, in 1996, she's a basketball coach. Edwina, Eddie Franklin. The film is named Eddie, so I assume they reference her as Eddie for most of the film. I'll stop right there, because this might not even be relevant. People might be listening and saying, what's the big deal? It's just a movie. So what? They are, referencing her with all these male names. So what? No big deal. They don't do it every film.
I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant particularly because she's a dark-skinned black female who often wears her hair naturally. And I think that says a lot. Can you be dark-skinned with natural hair and be feminine in a white supremacy system? Maybe if you're laying in the bed with a white man.
Do you see a pattern of that? Darker females not being allowed to be feminine and attractive, being masculinized in some way?
Oh, absolutely. It's at the point where you don't see any dark-skinned black women on television or in commercials unless they're being degraded. They have to be overweight, and they definitely have to be manless. Desperate, mean, crazy, evil, monster, something. I remember on The Sopranos, they had maybe a total of 5 or 6 black women in the whole. I think that series lasted 5, 6, 7 years. And if I can remember correctly, they had maybe 5 different black women, 5, 6 different black women. And the 2 light-skinned women, one was an FBI agent who had the itch for Tony Soprano. Of course, he wasn't going to scratch that itch because, she's, a black person. Then they had another light-skinned black woman. She was attractive, but she was a whore in a whorehouse run by some Jews. I forget Orthodox Jews. And then they had a black woman that she was a homeless woman. She was dark-skinned, and she was homeless, and she took a number 2 on the sidewalk and wiped her behind with newspaper. And the other dark-skinned woman, there was another dark-skinned woman who played, she was a homeless woman again and toothless, and she was trying to hit on Tony Soprano's uncle, who was a demented old white man. So if you think about the roles that black women, I remember years ago, over a decade ago, 2 decades ago, you would occasionally see an attractive dark-skinned black woman, and actually thank God if she wasn't playing a prostitute, okay? But now you don't see them at all. And the only reference to dark-skinned women is that they are unattractive. They're the butt of the joke. They're nappy-headed hoes or whatever, So definitely if a black woman does not look like a white female, or at least does not embrace some of the characteristics, lighter skin, certain kinds of features, straightened, permed, weaved hair, long hair, whatever, she can't be sexually attractive. And it's worse now to me than it was 30 years ago. I think it's terrible now. There are no dark-skinned women anywhere to be found that I can see. Even in so-called black movies, you don't see dark-skinned women playing the object of affection for anybody. So it makes me wonder, since the average black woman is brown and dark-skinned, the average black woman isn't a mulatto or a biracial person, what impact does this have on the self-esteem and self-image of young black women, young black girls growing up? They don't see themselves reflected anywhere. Yeah, they don't see themselves reflected anywhere. And if it is any time that they show up, it's always a negative. And I believe personally, and I hope I don't step on any toes by saying this, I believe that when you look at the hairstyles of the younger generation and how disconnected they are from reality. Golden blonde weaves and stuff. I believe that is a symptom of the self-esteem damage that is being done to our young women. And I caution people, and I ask people, please do not ridicule these young ladies. Do not put them down. They are the most obvious symptoms of the type of victimization that's going on caused by the media, because they don't see themselves reflected positively anywhere. So it's a crime. It's actually a real serious crime that's being committed against them. So, they watch these movies, and they look at a dark-skinned female actress, and she's being called Bernie and Billy and Irwin. Nobody calls a woman Irwin. What white woman is called Irwin? I mean, sometimes you have nicknames where it's kind of a masculine nickname, but, she's looking real feminine when you call her that, so you don't get confused. You don't think this white female is masculine, just because of her name. So, I mean, I could talk about this all day. That's very disturbing to me.
Mm.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to alienate the affections of black males. They're trying to encourage black males to reject black women, and then they can isolate the black man and do them in. Just like the zebra and the lion. You get the zebra to wander away from the herd, and the lions eat them. And I think they're trying to separate us, basically eliminate the competition for black male, whatever it is, sexuality, sperm, whatever. They're trying to eliminate the competition by taking black women out of the picture. And a friend of mine said something that was interesting not too long ago. And it's interesting. People sometimes pop out and say something really, to me, kind of profound. He says that he noticed that when a black woman comes into a room, when more than one black woman comes into a room, a certain kind of chemistry, kind of like a certain energy is there, and that black men are more careful about what they do and say when black women are around. So that's another reason, perhaps, they want to separate. And, in these movies and TV shows and all this stuff, want to have black men isolated. Because maybe then there's no checks and balances then. Not to say that black men are not capable of making decisions, but I do think that when black men and women are together, they present a stronger, more resistance to being made fools of. So I think that they're deliberately trying to push the message that black men don't need black women. Hey, look, you're on TV, you're sitting in a bar in a commercial with a bunch of white people, you're laughing and having a good time, no black woman in sight. If you look at a lot of these TV shows, you look at these commercials, not a black woman in sight. You look at Denzel Washington movies, Samuel Jackson, Morgan Freeman, not a black woman in sight. They don't have any. It's almost like the black male can achieve only when a black woman is not present. The black man is, doing whatever he's doing, but black woman, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a girlfriend, he doesn't have a love life, and he really doesn't need one. Okay, I think I'm getting off topic. So, yeah.
Context of White Supremacy. Our guest, co-author of Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation, and the new book, almost out, Pam. We'll be talking about this tomorrow. White supremacy and black hair. Really looking forward to the broadcast. It was a suggestion from a listener, B. Moore. She was on the program we did, White Supremacy and the NBA All-Star Game. I believe Pam will be with us tomorrow. See if I can get it correct, Zanelle. She'll be here. Should be some other folks as well. I don't remember all the folks who emailed me. The black female who did the artwork for the front page, she'll be here. So hopefully she'll be very constructive. The program will air at folks in London, 10 p.m. London time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow, that would be Saturday, the 19th Really excited about that, and you were right on point. Everything that you said, it was super relevant and extremely important. And I think I would have probably missed those observations as a victimized black male. I think I would have. That's just something that wouldn't have stood out to me. So really, that's why I say really important to have non-white females, black females who are speaking about racism, white supremacy. My response, I actually have that sound clip now, and I'm actually going to do double whammy. I'm going to do 2 sound clips that I think are both, right on point to what we are addressing. One of them will be from Burglar, and I think it's self-explanatory. I don't think I need to say anything else. It's from the same film that we just heard, and the other clip that is relevant, this is from Sister Act. In fact, I think I'll start with that one. I think I'm being indecisive. I'll start with Burglar, and then I'll transition to Sister Act. So this will be Burglar, 1987, and then Sister Act. I believe that was 1992.
Early this morning.
Well, my daughter?
Lunchtime, right?
Is that right? You just hold it right there, pickaninny. How about our stamp?
Y'all want the stamp, Master Rick? I'll get it for you right now.
I don't want the stamp.
Yeah, I just got it right
Bernie,
now.
listen to me.
Oh, don't worry about it, Master.
I don't want the goddamn stamp. I want the money you're going to get when you sell the stamp.
Then you know what y'all got to do. You got to find us a buyer. Or maybe you can mail yourself to Sun City or wherever the fuck retired policemen go.
Listen to me. Listen to me, goddammit.
Get your hands off me, Ray. Don't forget, I was the state prison boxing champ. You're going to get hurt.
Ooh, boxing champion, huh? As I recall, that was woman's prison, huh? I'm going to slap the out.
You fool. I told you, man. You don't listen. That's your problem.
Bernie! Oh, God! Oh, God!
I'm sorry. I told you. Now, let's calm down now, okay?
You bitch!
Ray.
You lousy bitch!
Hey, Ray!
That's it! That's it! I'm reopening the case! You're going to be the state prison boxing champion again, you hear me?
Look, give me a break, Ray. A week. I get the toothbrush out.
Now this is Sister Act.
Hey, Dolores, yes, from Vince.
It's his dead body.
With love.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then why didn't he bring it down to me himself?
Oh, he wanted to, but he's got a big meeting upstairs. Hey, Tina.
Hi. Could you say goodnight to these clowns, please? I'm getting a headache. I don't want them in here. Get out.
Let's go. All right, I'm going. Take it easy.
Well, at least you got something out of all of this. Come on, Dolores, open this up. Why should I open this? I don't give a damn what's in that box. I don't care.
Oh,
see what the man brought you.
Why?
Come on.
Why? I want to see it.
Fine, okay? Let's look and see what it is.
Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Out.
It's mink.
Yes.
It's purple mink, Dolores.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look.
Oh. Here.
Well, obviously, Mr. LaRocca feels he can win me back by sending me this absolutely fabulous coat.
Ooh.
Put it on, put it on.
Beautiful.
But see, some girls will fall for that, but not me. I think I'm going to make him wait a little while before I just let him know that I... What? Connie the Rock. His wife's coat. Man gave me his wife's coat. Oh, I don't believe it.
Put it back on. It's yours now. You deserve it.
No, I don't deserve it. I haven't earned it. You don't earn other people's wife's fur coats, okay? I think it's time to just go upstairs and give it back to him. Get the hell out of this dump.
Context of White Supremacy. That second clip, Whoopi Goldberg, she is in a sexual relationship, tragic arrangement with a married white man, and they had a spat of some sort, and his attempt to make amends, he gives her his wife's coat, and she finds out. And I think those clips were both relevant to the points you were making on all accounts, I think. What are your thoughts, Pam?
Well, the first clip, I mean, they made her the boxing champion in prison.
Pickaninny, I mean.
She's a pickaninny, ex-convict, ex-boxing champion.
And a burglar.
Right, a burglar named Bernie. I just gotta laugh. Actually, I had to take an aspirin. Listen to these clips. I had to go get 2 aspirin. Oh, man. You got to be kidding me. Ex-burglar, a burglar, ex-convict, ex-boxing champion named Bernie. If you had given me that description, I would have seen him. I would have imagined a man. No. Not a woman. I never would have thought they were talking about a woman. Oh, boy. Okay.
Just for anyone out there who's Dr. Frances Cress, oh, yeah, I got to get it in. I had to get it in. Happy birthday, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She turned 76 today.
Oh,
not that I'm into birthday celebrations, but, you know. Dr. Welsing, 76, many years on the counter-racist grind. But Dr. Welsing, white genetic annihilation is all over the place in Whoopi Goldberg's career, unfortunately. Not only, I mean, her consistently not having a male partner, and when she does, it's a white man. Consistently, she is helping white people in their sexual relationships or aiding their children, taking care of their children. So she is aiding white people to procreate, not procreating herself. That is, I mean, it does not get any more textbook white genetic annihilation than that. And that boxing, that's right out of the ISIS papers. And I don't think that's a coincidence at all, because in that film, you already touched on how masculinized her character is. There's a point in the film where a white man comes. She works at a bookstore, and a white man comes to the store, and he's shoplifting, and she catches him. And she tells him, you know, put the books back, you know, I caught you. And the guy gets an attitude. She pulls out a gun, and at first she has it under the counter, so it's at the genital level. And I'm like, wow, this is like this black person's cock trumps the white person's cock. I mean, it was really, I mean, the symbolism there was incredible. And there are so many genital references in her films. Like, if you look at those photographs, there's a photo from Burglar where she's in a dentist chair and the white man is rubbing his groin on her hand purposely, gyrating on her hand to stimulate himself, to please himself. And she catches it and she punches him in the groin. I also got the photo where the white man, we heard the clip where she is locked in the closet while they're engaged in sexual intercourse. He gets up and is standing right in front of her nude with his genitals right in her face. You got the clip. There's a photograph from the film Jumpin' Jack Flash, which came out, I believe, in 1986. I'll double check. But she is under attack from white people, and a white man goes to grab her, and she gets on her knees and bites him in the groin area.
Goodness.
And I mean, it's just all over her work. In Burglar, there's another scene where a white man has grabbed her. She punches him in the groin. In fact, I can talk with my hands. I used to DJ. Let me see if I can get a clip. Oh, do I have it? I might have missed that one. Do I have it? Let's see. Oh, I might not have it. But there's another scene in Burglar where she is speaking with an enforcement officer, and I mean, it's all around the genital area. She threatens to kick the white man in his groin area. That's what goes down in the scene, among some other. And I'll upload it. Never mind, I'll upload it. Before I switch, because I was going to go to something else important. Did you have any other thoughts around either of those clips? And the second clip where the white man gives her his wife's coat to try to make up with her. She's his negress hussy on the side in the film.
Oh boy. Well, I did want to say happy birthday, Dr. Welsing. That was one of the most important days in the history of the Black universe. The day she was born. That day should go down. I mean, that should be a holiday as far as I'm concerned. The other thing was, getting back to why black females, particularly dark-skinned black females, are degraded, and why all these sexual and genetic and genital references is because like you said, it all goes back to fear of white genetic annihilation. Their whole reaction to us, I believe, is based on their fear of becoming extinct. And the dark-skinned black woman is the one that is she's the womb. She's basically the womb that produces all the new black life. And I think that's why she's being demeaned. That's the thought that crossed my mind was, I always try to, I don't like just saying, well, people are just mean to us or people just do this. No. They do everything they do for a reason. When they demean dark-skinned women, they do it for a reason. It has nothing to do with dark-skinned women being inferior. They know dark-skinned women aren't inferior. It has nothing to do with dark-skinned women not being attractive. They know dark-skinned women are attractive because that's why they're always sniffing around them. That's why we all come in all these different colors. So I believe that the main reason that they demean, they create these stars, the Whoopi Goldberg types, because they can use it to accomplish their goal. And I think that goal is to very subtly demonize dark-skinned women and defeminize dark-skinned women. And they do that because dark-skinned women are the most potent carriers of new black life. You would think that dark African women in Africa would have a low fertility rate because of all the challenges of the environment and all of the things that, that have happened because of white supremacy to Africa. But in reality, from what I understand, the African woman has the highest fertility rate in the world. That is why she's being attacked. So I want all you beautiful, dark-skinned Nubian sisters out there to understand that. You're not being attacked because you're inferior. You're being attacked because you're genetically superior. And you're being attacked because your womb is a threat to white genetic survival. That's why you're being attacked. That's why you're being defeminized. That's why you're being masculinized. That's why they're trying to get black males to program them to want the less melanated woman, because you are the key to the whole thing. So I'm certainly not castigating our lighter sisters, or lighter skin sisters. Has nothing to do with that. It's just the truth. The African woman is the most fertile woman on the planet, and so I believe they're attacking dark-skinned women in the hopes that they will make it difficult for them to reproduce, either deprive them of male companionship or whatever means they have to make it difficult for the dark-skinned woman to find a mate and reproduce. So that's what I think the undertones of this. They recognize the sexuality and the potency and the sexual genetic power of the black female. And you mentioned this movie now, I think one other show, Children of Men, where I think it was 20-something in the future, 20-something, maybe 2052 or something like that, where it hadn't been, no one had gotten pregnant in 20 years, and the human race was dying out. And they found one woman, this young African woman, who was the only woman on the planet that was pregnant. So these movies are telling you that they know. They know we're going to look at it as entertainment, as bypass us, but they know that the dark-skinned woman is the most genetically powerful person on the planet. They know that. So I think it's really important. And the fourth book we do is going to be about about the black woman, particularly about the dark-skinned black woman. That's what the fourth book's going to be about, to put her where she belongs. Make her understand that you don't belong in the gutter. And they know that. They know who you are, but they know you don't know who you are.
That film, Children of Men, is wild. We need to do I could spend a whole program talking about that film. That same film where the only person who can get pregnant is a black female. The climax of the film, white people send like a whole bomb to kill one black male. Like they blow up the whole building just for this one black male. Like it's very graphic how they make an effort to separate the black male from the black female, in a film where white people are struggling to procreate.
That's right.
White genetic annihilation. And I watched that film for the first time with a white woman. Woo! Let's see. Things could have taken a drastically different turn. Let's see. I got that clip up. I thought it was important, so I want to play the clip. This is from Jumpin' Jack Flash. This also came out during the 8. Oh, I got to reload my page. Forgive, I'm reloading the page. I'm going to take calls too, so if you have questions or what have you, you can press 1 and I will get your line. Okay, this is Jumpin' Jack Flash, and I won't even set it up. Just this film, Whoopi Goldberg does not have a male partner. She has no life. She works at a bank for white people who mistreat her, and some white person with a British accent hacks into her computer and asks her to do all these crazy life-risking things to help him out, and she does it because she has no life. And in the end, she gets to meet this white man, and they go off for a date. The end. At this point in the film, she is going out to risk her life to help this white guy that she's never met. He's just a face on a computer. Dr. Martin Kevorkian, color monitors. It's all over. She's tied to a computer for half the film and running around doing things for white people. That's like the whole film. But this point, she almost gets killed. She is at the police station, and, it just goes from a black person at the enforcement officers, the so-called police station. That's all you need to know. Black person with enforcement officers under white supremacy.
You know her?
Oh, I work with her.
She nuts. We found her screaming, soaking wet, waving down cars near Battery Park.
What happened?
Fell in the river.
I told you, I didn't fall in the river. I was thrown.
By your pimp, your John.
What is it with you people? Every time you see a black woman, it has to be a pimp or a John? What do you think, there's a lot of work down on the pier for hookers? You think I'm giving blowjobs down there to goldfish?
Is she on some kind of medication?
Not that I know of. Are you on some kind of medication?
Marty! You can talk directly to me, asshole.
Watch your mouth.
There is a dead man floating around in the river.
I think it's time to go home now.
We sent a car down there, lady. Look who I'm calling lady. We found nothing. Nothing.
Well, drag the river. There are killers running around the fucking city.
How would you like me to wash your mouth out with a wire brush?
How'd you like if I kick you in the nuts so hard that they get lodged in your fucking nostrils?
Context of White Supremacy. I think, again, this is a different film, totally different film. I think that one little segment, I think that, again, supports everything we've just been talking about.
Again, the genitals. Oh, man.
Whoopi Goldberg didn't write this script. That's what I said. Back in the day, my finger would have been pointing at Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg didn't write this script. Whoopi Goldberg had nothing to do with distribution of this film. Whoopi Goldberg, I'm sure, her name is nowhere around when it comes to, the folks who own the rights to this film. I'm sure it's not her. She is not the person who is to blame. This came from the mind of racist man and racist woman.
Yep, I agree. and that's really important and it really, like I said, if it hadn't been for those shows that I listened to, Kyle shows, I would have been blaming. I would have, I recognize that the people that make the movies are the most to blame, but I would still been blaming the black people that are in it. And it's still kind of, you still want to kind of blame them, but you really can't. I mean, well, what's the point? They're interchangeable. The problem is the people making the movies, because if this black person didn't do it, some other black person would. So, it really makes no sense to focus on the interchangeable parts. You got to focus on the creator of the machine. So it's, she's rough and tough, and she's, they're talking to her, rough and tough, and she's talking to them rough and tough. And it's a typical thing. And it just really kills me how black people are in a movie, and they're supposed to be in a positive role of any kind. They've got to be assisting, rescuing, protecting, and risking their life for white people. Always.
Mm-hmm. Context of white supremacy. I definitely want to make sure that we get to the hair, because I think that deserves some time. Just hair. I mean, that's why the program tomorrow, but I think just the way that her hair gets manipulated in films, I think is worthy of some time, so I want to make sure we get to that. But I also think it's important to kind of touch on, Whoopi Goldberg. She's worthy of a cowbell. To my knowledge, she's been in a sexual relationship, maybe more than one, with a white person. I believe Ted Danson. She, I believe, was in a sexual relationship with Ted Danson from Cheers when he decided to do blackface. I think that's known, and I think many of her roles, she is not with, a black person other than The Color Purple. Mm-hmm. She's not with a black male. She's normally by herself, no partner. Or she's partnered with a white person, but most of the time, at least from what I've seen, it's no one, and I think that's very significant. System of racism, white supremacy, they, exactly as Pam said, I think they are about the destruction of the black family and separating black males from black females, and I think they even, warp our minds so that we, think and behave in a manner that supports their objective. Caller in Georgia, 404, she said, we were having a discussion about Ghost yesterday. Dr. Welsing. She said, you should check out Ruby's Bucket of Blood. It came out in 2001, and Whoopi Goldberg is the executive producer for this film. It's set in... I'm sorry?
No, I was just thinking. I think I saw that. Okay.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen it. I saw it today. Whoopi Goldberg is the executive producer. Angela Bassett is in the film. It's set in Louisiana. Cowbells galore, and that's a big part of the film. You got the so-called Creole folk, very pale, light complexion, non-white people. Angela Bassett gets into a sexual relationship with a white person. They got anti-sexual behavior. I mean, it's a lot of, incorrect things going on in this film. At any rate, this one scene, I think, really pitiful illustration of the effectiveness of racist woman and racist man's campaign against the black male and black female. This is from Ruby's Bucket of Blood. This is Angela Bassett and her husband in the film, and this is a one-ho production. I thought that was real important. That is the name of the production company.
What?
A one-ho production company. And I mean, Whoopi Goldberg is the executive producer on this film, so I don't know if that's her company, but that's what it says when you watch the film. Wow. This is Ruby's Bucket of Blood, a one-ho production.
Just an excuse. You were leaving anyway, weren't you? You got another family somewhere? Is that why you're always gone? Is it another woman? Just tell me. Respect me enough to tell me the truth.
You'll never know.
What about Emerald?
She was a boy. I'd take her with me. It won't be long before she spread her leg for some batar, end up like the rest of y'all. Weak and stupid. Can't do nothing for her no more.
You want to see weak and stupid? Look in the mirror.
That is Ruby's Bucket of Blood, starring Angela Bassett, a one-ho production. Black males and black females.
Double whammy.
Any thoughts, Pam?
Wow. I'm still stuck on the name of the production company. I mean, how crazy is that? One ho? Wow. I can't get beyond the name. The movie was kind of, it was interesting, but it was kind of distressing because it was like, black people showing no regard for other black people or non-white people. It's just disappointing. But I say it's a movie worth watching. I mean, I'd watch it again. I don't know why I would, but I would. It's been a while since I saw it, so I don't really remember exactly what bothered me the most about it, but it was kind of stressing.
Well, give me your thoughts on this scene since you've seen the film. This is the scene between Angela Bassett's character, the mother, Aunt Ruby, and her daughter Emerald. They're having the scene. There was a lot of conflict between those two in the film, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just conflict between black mom, black daughter, Ruby's Bucket of Blood.
I'm not like you. Daddy said.
Oh, yeah? Well, what did he say?
He said I shouldn't turn into you. I should get out of here.
Girl.
Wait a minute. Yeah, this is real important. I should have had a photograph. In fact, I might have to stop to include a photograph. We gotta do the rewind on this one. You gotta keep in mind, because I think this is real significant. The daughter is very pale. The daughter is, she looks like she could have a white parent. She is significantly lighter than Angela Bassett. And I mean, you don't have the visual, so I think you need to know that as you listen to this. Like, keep that in the forefront of your mind. Angela Bassett's character is significantly darker. The mother is significantly darker than the daughter. The daughter looks like she could have a white parent. So we'll do the rewind. This is same scene, Ruby's Bucket of Blood.
I'm not like you. Daddy said.
Oh, yeah? Well, what did he say?
He said I shouldn't turn into you. I should get out of here.
Girl, you don't know nothing about real life.
Then tell me.
What you want to know? Why whites hate colors? Why men hate women? So the worst possible thing you can be is a colored woman?
That's slave thinking, see? Daddy's right. I'm not like you. I'm not scared.
You don't know. The world look at me and they see a nursemaid, a whore and a mule rolled up into one and wonder why I ain't serving them. Oh, they waiting for me to stumble.
I pay more so-called taxes than anybody. More in these Pepperwoods, more in these colored men with run bars in this same parish. And if I don't pay, do you know what kind of accident's going to happen? I ain't heard that bar from my mama. It's mine. But everybody still wait for your daddy to come from offshore to talk business. And it's my business. As far as this world concerned, a woman like me is in good need of a whooping. Now, when you learn to stay low, you will be all right.
I won't stay low. I can't be like that, Ma. I'm different than you.
So you said.
What do you think, Pam?
Oh, the thing that came to my mind was Imitation of Life, some strange reason. With the daughter that could pass for white.
Double whammy.
And rejected the black mother. As though there's some tragic, as though she can escape the fate of her mother. That's the thought that crossed me. I'm gonna have to watch that movie again. It's been a while, but it always distresses me when I see a daughter disrespecting her mother, especially a mother that did everything for her. Even though it's just a movie, I just kind of, particularly in a black movie with the differences in skin color, it's just kind of, it shows that even your own children, if they are distinctly different from you in complexion, perhaps they feel superior to you, I don't know.
Yeah, the color aspect, it was significant. It was significant. Whoopi Goldberg being a darker black female, and this film. The whole conflict of this film is about a tragic arrangement, a non-white person being in a sexual relationship with a white person who has been pursuing her for the whole film. This white man who is after Angela Bassett, and he's married. And he's, pursuing her for the whole film. That's the conflict. That's basically what this whole movie is about. And for me, I found it was very troubling that the darker people in this film are always presented in conflict. Like I can sum it up. The thing that I think bothers you most in the film at the end when the white man gets killed, and that's such a dramatic moment, and oh my gosh, how is this going to be resolved? I don't think you have that level of compassion at any other point in the film for the other characters except the lightest complexion characters. Like you feel for the daughter, you empathize with her. She is significantly lighter than all of the other dark people. And I think the next person down would be Angela Bassett, who is significantly lighter than, a lot of the other dark people in the film. And everybody else is pretty much, a clown, homosexual, a deviant of some sort, a no-count father. It's a really troubling depiction of black. It's almost like The Color Purple with a dash of, Fatal Beauty, one of her films where the non-white female gets in a sexual relationship with a white person. It's almost like, mixing of that. Like I thought of Color Purple. And in fact, I thought of Porgy and Bess when I was watching this film. It's like a juke joint, and they're struggling. Her man leaves her, and she's struggling to raise this child. It looks like, the child's father could be white. And then this white man is it's a really strange film. That, in my opinion, the color aspect and the darker people being really degraded and or gay, and the lighter complexion people being the heroes and the folks that you're rooting for, I found that very disturbing. And there's an important pool scene as well in this film. Dr. Welsing moment for sure. The 8-ball is on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just disturbing to just, like you said, to watch the black characters, particularly the black female characters, always in a conflict, never really being valued or appreciated, no matter how beautiful they are. It's just, I personally think that, I don't even almost think, and I'd have to do it too, is there should be a moratorium. Black people should not be allowed to watch any television or movies for a whole year and see what differences happen at the end of that year. I think that's just how damaging entertainment is. The messages are relentless. And sometimes we get fooled by the fact that a black person made the film or a black person produced it or directed it or plays in it, and it really makes no difference. It's still the same kind of messages for the most part because we absorb those messages and they're reflected in our work. And that's assuming that a white person isn't paying the bills and basically telling us. Because there was a movie I saw not too long ago. I wish I could think of the name of it. Oh, I know it was Insecure with the word in, not spelled out in, but the capital letter Insecure. And I had heard somewhere it was a black movie, and it was about a man who was kind of you'd have to see it. And I heard that it had a different ending, and they had to change the ending. I don't know if that's true or not. And I wonder what the different ending was. I won't spoil the movie for people, but if you see the movie, you'll see that, again, it's a classic conflict between black male and female. So it's hard to say. It's just you hardly ever see any movies where, unless they're comedies, where black men and women are able to resolve their problems and come together and love each other. It's so rare, and it's dangerous because all this programming is in our heads, and so when we come together in relationships, we don't expect them to be good. We expect them to be full of conflict. We already come into it with all this baggage and all this programming. It's almost like it's becoming illegal to love each other,
And that the upcoming book, you all touch on that, Black Love as a Revolutionary Act?
Yeah, we touch on a lot of things because it's like 400 pages. Thanks to C.O.W.S, we revised the blame game, and we talk about the many ways that black men and women are pitted against each other, particularly in entertainment. Basically, there's like 13 recipes, and so we just take it from where we believe the problem started, and that was slavery. And then after slavery so-called ended, the only role models that black men and women had were the most dysfunctional people on the planet, the white male and the white female. That's where a lot of our trouble took root also, with not just the slavery experience, but coming in and not having that culture, our own culture, our own references, and having to adopt theirs. So, and all the negativity that comes from being black and trying to adopt the relationship role model of the most dysfunctional people on the planet. So you can imagine that's just a big disaster. But, yeah, we tried to cover everything that we thought was important as far as why black males and females are pitted against each other. And in the hopes that, we will start to see some of the ways in which we are deliberately poisoned against each other, and that we'll start to say, let's neutralize this. I think it was Brother Khalid Muhammad. He said, he made a statement. I wish I could think of it. You trust a man. Oh, it's something about how can you just trust a man who mistreats you to teach you. So they're teaching us who we are, what our relationship should be like, what my value is, what your value is, and we're trusting their definition of us, and we're actually taking that ball and running with it. So, you hear black people say things about you hear black males say things about black females they got from white people. You hear black women say things about black males that they got from white people. So.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, as we correct racism, white supremacy, hopefully that those problems will be corrected, acknowledged, and corrected as we solve this problem. I did want to share because I thought this was relevant. I will acknowledge the source. I think this probably, she has enough content. I think we could do a lot of programs on Whoopi Goldberg. So I will see if I can check out some of her biographies. But I'm just looking, taking a quick glance at Wikipedia, and it says for her early life, Goldberg was born as Karen Elaine Johnson in New York City and raised in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood, the daughter of Emma Nee Harris, a nurse and teacher, and Robert James Johnson, Jr., a clergyman. Goldberg has described her mother as a stern, strong, and wise woman who raised her as a single mother after Goldberg's father had left the family. Goldberg's recent ancestors migrated north from Fayetteville, Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Her stage name, Whoopi, was taken from Whoopi Cushion. She has stated that if you get a little gassy, you've got to let it go. So people used to say to me, "You're like a whoopee cushion," and that's where the name came from. I just want to pause really quick. I think that is related to the enforcement officer in Jumpin' Jack Flash when he said, do you want me to clean your mouth out with a wire brush? And just the consistent pattern of associating black people with feces and that sort of thing. I see a consistent trend of that. I think you said there was a black female character on The Sopranos, and they had her doing number 2. She was a homeless person. Consistent pattern. But yeah, at any rate, let's see. Oh, now this is interesting. She adopted the traditionally German Jewish surname Goldberg as a stage name because her mother felt the original surname of Johnson was not Jewish enough, in quotes, to make her a star. According to an anecdote told by Nichelle Nichols in the documentary film Trekkies, a young Goldberg was watching Star Trek and upon seeing Nichols' character, Uhura, exclaimed, "Mama, there's a black lady on TV and she ain't no maid," in quotes. This spawned a lifelong fandom of Star Trek for Goldberg, who eventually would accept a reoccurring guest role on Star Trek The Next Generation. Goldberg's first appearance on screen was in 1981-82, Citizen, I'm Not Losing My Mind, I'm Giving It Away, which is interesting. Goldberg created The Spook Show, a one-woman show composed of different character monologues in 1983. Director Mike Nichols was instantly impressed and offered to take the show to Broadway. The self-titled show ran from October 24th, 1984 to March 10th, 1985 for a total of 156 sold-out performances. While on Broadway, Goldberg's performance caught the eye of director Steven Spielberg. He was about to direct the film The Color Purple, and you all know the rest. Very interesting. The Spook Show.
Was that show where she also did I was trying to remember, that was the show she did where she had a scarf on her head and pretended it was her hair? Pretended she was, I don't know if she pretended she was a white girl, but she was pretending that it was her hair.
I'm not sure. I would love, if I can get my hands on more of her older stand-up material, I would definitely do a program just on that because, I mean, she has sketches where she's talking about nigger and why white people shouldn't say it. I mean, she touches on race a lot in her material. She has a skit where she's pretending to be a drug addict. I mean, it's wild. And in fact, I was listening to it, and the person who heard her, because she's, doing a fake voice, said, who was that, comedian you were listening to? And I said, oh, I don't think I was listening to anybody but Whoopi Goldberg. And he was like, oh, well, it was a male. And I was like, no, I haven't listened to comedians except for Whoopi Goldberg. She was doing a vague force, but he thought I was listening to a male. I mean, I definitely wanted to make sure we got in the hair, because I think that is significant. That's a significant part of, Whoopi Goldberg and her acting career. I think the photographs, if anyone who can see the images, the photographs of how her hair, what is done with her hair in the films, I think is real important. What jumps out at you about Whoopi Goldberg and her hair?
I haven't watched a lot of, I don't know how many movies she made where she has her hair dreadlocked versus, some other thing. I know in Karina, she wore a wig, I believe. But in most of her films, does she wear her hair natural? I mean, almost every film I've seen her, she's had her hair dreadlocked.
I can tell you one of the big things that I am noticing, the films where she tends to have her dreadlocks, for the most part, tend to be the films where she is acting a clown. Now, that's not always the case, but I think at least for Serafina, that's not the case. I think she actually does have her dreads out in that film, and, that is obviously very serious. Well, actually, I don't know. See, that's what I mean. I could do a lot of stuff with Whoopi Goldberg, because there's a lot of dancing in that, too. So I don't know how I don't really take it that serious. So, I guess it's supposed to be serious, but I don't take it that serious because there's a lot of dancing. But that's one trend, definitely. I think it tends to be that if her hair is natural, she's got her dreads, it tends to be, she's doing a little bit more silliness. If it's going to be more serious, it tends to be that she's got, a wig or something going on.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you look at Halloween, like if you ever go to a costume shop or go online and look at a costume thing, whatever they have, a hair or wig or whatever, that's a natural wig, like a dreadlock or an afro, it's always in a costume clown category. If you go online and you look at it, and you just put in afro wig, and you'll see it'll pop up under clowns. Costumes like Halloween costumes and clown wigs, stuff like that. They even have dreadlock wigs, and they come up under Halloween, and they come up under the category of clowns and costumes.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So I think that I don't know if these people stood up all night thinking this stuff up, whether this is just part of the DNA. I'm amazed that anybody's mind can work this way 24/7, where every little thing is important, and every little thing is designed to uplift themselves and degrade somebody else, another non-white person. I don't know if that's just a DNA thing. If it's not a DNA thing, it's a serious mental illness. But it's apparently it's worked in their favor, because they got a lot of people confused and fooled. Absolutely fooled. See this as harmless stuff. So whatever they're doing is working, but you got to really wonder, just in the movies, all these little references to genitals, making her a man, making her masculine, all this kind of stuff. I mean, does it come natural, or do they sit down and think deliberately, we're going to do this?
I'm totally convinced it is deliberate. And particularly, I have two things I would point to. I'm so glad the photo is up. I'm going to see if I can. Oh, that's right. It's got the rewind. Okay. One photo is, this is in Jumpin' Jack Flash. She has no life, no partner. She works at a bank for white people. And, she's at a computer, Dr. Kevorkian, just doing things for white people, risking her life for a white person that she's never met, never even seen. But there's a film, and I have a picture of it, where she has a brush that just does not, it looks like a brush for a white woman. And she's got this brush that looks like it's meant for a white woman, and she's using it to brush her locks. And it just looks like, you know, what are you going to possibly do with this? You know, what am I even doing? Like, this, you know, was a bad hair day from the day I was born, and it's going to be a bad day until I'm dead. Like, that's the image that is conveyed in this scene. Like, this hair is a total mess. There's nothing that can be done for this.
Wow.
And she's natural. She's natural in this. And I mean, if you scroll through in the same movie as the picture I had before that, it's a scene similar to The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption, where Morgan Freeman and Michael Duncan Clark, where they are in greater confinement and they're watching old black and white films of a white man and a white woman, like Casablanca, those type films, watching them and just, you know, oogling over the white woman. They have a scene where Whoopi Goldberg is doing the exact same thing. And in fact, she has memorabilia from these old white films all over her apartment. Like, if you've seen Bamboozled, if you could imagine the opposite of someone just having all of this white stuff everywhere, just movie posters, just white people all over. And I think the hair, like, I mean, you will see, they've got her in a blonde wig, where she is supposed to be an entertainer of some sort. I just see them doing all sorts of just craziness with her hair and having the straight hair and that sort of thing, trying to imitate that white standard of beauty. We got another one. This is from Fatal Beauty, where she's also got a blonde wig on. It's just crazy. They've got her like in a blonde wig, a polka dot gold jacket, whites. I mean, just a total cleanse. What is it? Wow. At the costume shop? I mean, it's a total disgrace. A total disgrace. Yeah. And again, it's not Whoopi Goldberg's fault. I'm just pointing this out. You know, it could have, and it has been. They've done this to tons of us. And again, this is with the hope we will make better decisions. The more informed we are about racism, white supremacy, it'll show in our behavior. We'll behave better, and that is the whole reason for all of this. I did want to make sure I got in one current event before I hit the phone lines, and folks, you should call in right now if you want to listen or chat. The phone number is 347-215-6071. This is real current. This came out March 16th, this article. Gilbert Gottfried, suspected racist, defended by Whoopi Goldberg.
Dang.
Gilbert Gottfried has been defended by Whoopi Goldberg following his sacking by insurance firm Aflac earlier this week. Gottfried, the American comedian who was fired by Aflac for joking about the Japanese tsunami, has been defended by a number of high-profile celebrities, reports the Vancouver Sun. Gottfried was promptly fired from his role as the voice of Aflac's duck mascot after making a number of crude jokes about the recent disaster. He told Twitter followers, "I just split up with my girlfriend, but like the Japanese say, there'll be another one floating by any minute now."
Wow. Okay.
I'll read that again just in case anyone didn't catch it. And they got this in quotes. "I just split up with my girlfriend, but like the Japanese say, there'll be another one floating by any minute now." After a barrage of criticism, the 56-year-old tweeted an apology saying, "I sincerely apologize to anyone who was offended by my attempt at humor regarding the tragedy in Japan." However, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar rushed to defend the embattled comedian on their popular daytime talk show, The View, with Goldberg noting, "I think that one of the things that people always forget is that comics have never been appropriate. That's the whole idea," Behar added. "Have you seen his act? It's always inappropriate. That's his act." Right. Joan Rivers, who just referenced the First Lady Michelle Obama as Darky O, Joan Rivers added herself to the list of Gilbert Gottfried defenders, saying that what's a comedian to do? We react to tragedy by making jokes to help people in tough times feel better through laughter. Radio host Howard Stern, who's no stranger to controversy, said when the Aflac people hired him to be the Aflac Duck, they all know of this. They all know this is an offensive guy. This is a guy whose humor is offensive, in quotes. I just wanted to make sure we connect all the dots. Howard Stern, he had a program where he had black males on, and it was this whole program degrading black people. And it was like a trivia game of some sort. He would ask them questions, and they would have to call out a response and see which response was the most popular. One of the questions was name the ugliest black female, and one of the responses was Whoopi Goldberg. And I think she was like in the top 2 or 3 on the list. It was Whoopi Goldberg, and one of the others was Oprah Winfrey, just to go full circle.
Yep. Yeah, I find it it's really interesting. I heard that the whatever that insurance company, whatever it is, that they have a lot of business in Japan. But regardless, I don't know if you remember this, after the earthquake in Haiti last year, there's a guy, Florida shock jock, Bubba the Love Sponge, who made the following statement. I would have to say the Haitian hookers are probably infected with a whole bunch of stuff. You might have to, you know what, maybe this is actually a good thing. Here's the good thing. We would all agree that Haiti is just in shambles. It's a horrible country. It's just dirt. It's poverty-stricken. They need a cleansing. Maybe 500,000 Haitians will not be around tomorrow. It's a cleanse. He's still working. I think that's a lot worse than the joke that the guy told about the people in Japan. So just, you know, what I would, my reaction is, you know what, if that's an inappropriate joke, but you know, if that joke about Haiti wasn't a big deal, nothing's a big deal, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I don't care how it sounds. I don't care if it sounds cold-blooded. I don't care. You know, if 500,000 people being dead is a joke, everything's a joke. So don't think I'm gonna shed any tears because you make a joke about something else. I really don't. But getting back to the natural hair thing, there's a chapter in the upcoming book, in our upcoming book called "Why Black Female Entertainers Must Wear Weaves That Look Like Weaves." And so we basically go through all the reasons why you see all these black female entertainers who I believe are told they have to wear a certain type of hairstyle or whatever. And if you look at a lot of the history of black women wearing the natural hair, see, people think it's just a matter of black women just throw that hot comb away and just, leave the beauty shop alone and just be natural. They don't understand is that you can do that, but you got to be ready for the consequences. Some of the consequences is even the men of your race don't find you attractive or as attractive if your hair is not straightened or it's not permed or long. And not just that, in this chapter we've got a list of, we couldn't put them all. We found about 7 or 8 different cases of black women being fired because they had cornrows, because they had locks, because they had an afro, being fired from jobs. And so we asked the question toward the end of this particular chapter, why do some whites find natural hair on black females so threatening? It is really a big deal for black women not to wear their hair natural. It is seen as a threat for some reason. So, and we believe that it all has to do with the black woman embracing white beauty, i.e. white supremacy. And when we stop doing that, that's perceived as a threat. Because if we stop doing it and we embrace our own natural beauty, the black man might start to embrace our natural beauty. And if he starts to embrace our natural beauty, we might actually come together and see our own true reflection in each other's eyes. And I personally believe that if the black male and female, this is what the whole book is based on, is the spiritual power of the black male and black female coming together is what they are working very hard to prevent. They know that if that happens, a lot of this stuff, a lot of this white supremacy is going to take a major hit. It's going to be in its death knell. So this is why they work so hard to degrade black women, particularly black women who don't look like white women. This is why they work so hard to separate black males from females. I believe it's a spiritual energy. It's like a plug in a socket. You put that plug into the socket and something's going to happen. And I think they know that. And so when they degrade black women, you have to really ask yourself the question, if black women are so pitiful and so inferior, why do you spend so much time making sure everybody knows it? Why does not inferiority just stand on its own? Self-evident. Why should you have to make movies and comments and statements and jokes and all this other stuff about how inferior we are if we're really inferior?
I agree. The web address, again, TrojanHorse1.com. That's the number one. TrojanHorse1.com. It's linked on the show page for the cows. The folks that dialed in that put a hand up, have your line open except for 5301. There was some distortion on your line. I'll check back to see if it's clear. 0311, if you could keep the background noise down, I would appreciate it. But your line is open. Mr. Nero, your line is open. 8162 and Non-Mighty Wick, your lines are open. The other person that dialed in from a block number, your line is open as well. 0311, your line is open. If you're on the line and you want to chat or comment or question, just press 1 and I can get you. You should probably press sooner than later if you think you want to chat.
Greetings, Pam, Gus.
Greetings.
It is so nice to hear your voices as well as the other callers on the line.
Same here.
And Gus, I didn't know you were going to do another Whoopi Goldberg. This must be really bad. It has to be. Because I've watched some of the image. I don't know if you must have cut it in half, but on the home page, it's not showing the full image of the clips that you put up there for her. Were you able to find the movie Angela's Bucket of Blood, the one that I mentioned last night, to view it?
Oh, I played a couple clips from it. I watched it and
Lord,
I played.
I came in about half an hour ago, so I'll have to replay it from the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I played a couple clips from it, and I got a picture up from it as well. If you look, you probably won't be able to do it now, but if you look from the main show page and not the page for this specific episode, you can see the full picture. But it probably, since it's past the live stream point, you probably won't be able to do that. So you might have to wait a little while to see the photos. But yeah, I even have a picture because Ruby's Bucket of Blood, that is a one-ho production, and Pam was a little staggered by the name of the production company for that film.
I told you.
Wow.
I saw it. It was on TV last weekend on TV One. That's why TV One is starting to get like BET with these buffooneries that they are playing and this degradation. And, of course, the Green Mile is going to be on to, I believe it's either tonight or tomorrow night it's supposed to be playing. So they've been showing the outtakes for the Green Mile. So
have they been
going
showing
to be
the
interesting. But you were speaking of the person from Aflac who was fired. The thing that they all have in common with each other, they're supposed to be Jewish, so-called Jewish white people. Joan Rivers, what's his name, Stern, as well as the comedian that was fired. That's why the defense team came out so stringently and they were defending him and saying that he's allowed to make jokes. You see, these people could make nasty jokes about non-whites, but let someone get out there and make a joke about the Jewish Holocaust and say something about toasting people in ovens. See how long their career will last, or see how long they will be around.
Right. They wouldn't be around very long.
No, they will not, because they close ranks very, very quickly. But they feel now that they have been allowed into the mainstream white society that they can get on the bandwagon and be just as vicious or more vicious than the other so-called white people.
In your town, have you noticed that the Green Mile, in my city, The Green Mile comes on now almost every week. And I'm trying to figure out, dang, I mean, it's on all the time.
I don't know what's going on, but I just happened to be looking at, I think it was Bravo, and it had a promo, and they said, okay, the Green Mile is supposed to be coming on. And I said, the Green Mile, and then I remembered last week when I watched that movie with Ruby's Bucket of Blood, and it seems all of these movies with black men or women that are in very subservient position to white supremacy, it's in constant replay.
Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder,
Okay, am I on?
Yes, sir.
I'm Brother Seville out of New York City, Brooklyn. Me and Brother Umar just did a all-women's summit in Brooklyn. And one of the main components that I, had to express is that this has been going on for a long time, even back in the days when they had Leave It to Beaver, you know what I'm saying, and Dennis the Menace, and all the other, white shows that black people in particular, copied after. I think that the whole concept of a black person viewing themselves as a white person, which the majority of black people do, whether they realize it or not, because they've been orientated to, be stuck in the customs and the culture of this, so-called country that we call America, is that, a lot of them don't even realize that they have became, their own worst enemy. And one thing that we did express at this particular summit, is that, the majority of these women hate themselves. In reference to what, this stems back to slavery itself, being reinforced, every day, even if it's on the Murray Show, even if it's on the other buffoonery show, Jerry Springer, and what I notice is that a lot of people allow their children to actually watch these programs without even thinking that it is actually doing harm to them, so, I mean, we have a long way to go. I'm in a hostile environment. What I mean by hostile, I mean that the majority of the people out here are dead mentally. They're walking around with the blonde hair, the purple hair, all these other different, styles, where I can tell that, they're really, angry about who they are as people. They look in the mirror and don't like what they see. So I think that we have, a lot of work to do. I think Tony Browler did a very good job when he broke down the film Precious. He exposed a lot of that information. I think that the sister's putting in her book, on the stereotypes of black people on these different, programs. But I take my hat off, to both of y'all for actually putting this information out there and letting the people actually see what's going on.
Good to hear your voice, Bill.
Peace, Seville.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that called in with a hand up, your line is open. I'm echoing. No speakerphone, please.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the brother that just spoke. It can seem like a hostile environment when you're surrounded by so much confusion. And a lot of times you can't really tell. You really have to kind of tiptoe around certain topics because people are very sensitive because their self-esteem is already damaged. They already feel, that they put down at every turn. And then when you come with criticism, it's just another blow. So it's kind of, you want to say things to people, constructive things, but you kind of not always given the opportunity. Doesn't seem. It's not always in a good way or to start the conversation.
Well, I don't think, personally, I don't think it's a good way you can do anything when it comes to our people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can try to be polite, man, but I be on the streets every day. I sell documentaries on the street, and so I'm dealing with the people every day, and I'm dealing with different topics that I'm dealing with, you know what I'm saying, and I'm seeing these people on the street walk by me, and I see what they have on, what they're wearing. You know what I'm saying, with the pants hanging off the butt, this is still going on. I thought, you know what I'm saying, there were messages out there to stop this, particular activity, but it seems like it's getting worse. And with the green eyes, the blue eyes, the purple eyes, it's getting really outrageous. Wow. And a lot of this, you know what I'm saying, like I said, it's so embedded into our society, man, as far as, the black race, man. I mean, it just seems like, a lot of these black people, man, had actually gave up on themselves as individuals. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, man, you know what I'm saying, they look black, but they actually, have a white mentality, you know what I'm saying, on their view and how they view life, even in their relationships. You know what I'm saying, here we have an enemy who is actually telling us what we supposed to do to get along. And he can't even get along. Right. You know what I'm saying? Himself. You know what I'm saying? So, at some point, all we can do is, as people who have been studying and have gained certain aspects of knowledge, is to just give the information to the people, man, and hoping, at some point that, like the citizen said earlier, that people will start to wake up and actually, see what's going on. You know what I'm saying, and try to incorporate this in their lives, man, because you have these teenagers who are raising, babies, and they're babies themselves. Right. And these are the same ones walking around with the tight pants, the tight spandex on, with the different color hairs, you know what I'm saying, and they're pushing around these baby carriages. So, they're going to teach their kids the same things that they was taught. And it's like, it's like a chain reaction. You know what I'm saying? So we're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? All I can do is just get out there on my job and try to raise the consciousness of as many people as I can get to who will listen, you know what I'm saying, and try to show them, man, what's actually going on in this wicked world that we live in.
I adopt the attitude, all you can do is what you can do. And, a lot of times it seems like you have expectations that you should be able to reach a lot of people. But you know what? You're going to reach the people that you're supposed to reach. And you do what you do. And if you change one person, if you get one person, then it's worth it. If you get 5 people, that 5 people might turn into 25. Because those 5 people might talk to 5 people over the course of years. So everybody, you can be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem. But you can't really focus on that because you can't get everybody and you can't reach everybody. But if a lot of us just reach one person, that's a whole lot of people that can reach somebody else. So I just look at it like if you get what I'm saying, that's because you're supposed to get it. If you don't get it, then maybe it wasn't time for you or maybe you don't want it. If you don't want it, that's on you. There's nothing I can do about it.
That's true.
Yeah, so.
Very true.
I just want to,
I don't interrupt anyone if I do apologize, but what the caller was stating about we have a lot of dead people walking around, dead non-whites, it is quite true because a lot of us have become so white identified and we are so tied to pleasing white people and being their biggest defenders, sometimes to our detriment that we can't see it or hear it. And I get frustrated. Sometimes I just throw my hands up and I just, in frustration because it seems that we are going in circles when we seem to be gaining something, then something comes up and kind of pull us back. And sometimes you're just going to have to walk away. We have just got to make up our minds, like Dr. Cambon said. Once you get to a certain age, you have to count them as a loss because they're not going to change. they're comfortable in whatever it is that's going on with them. And as he said, it's called cognitive dissonance, and they're not going to change. They don't want to make that move. So just count them as a lost cause and just move on. Try to reach the younger generation, which is what I'm working on.
Mr. Nero, did you have something to share?
I just wanted to publicly thank Seville. You know, I reached out to him because I had a family member that just got out of greater confinement. And Seville doesn't know me. We've never met, other than on a few times on, you know, speaking on Blog Talk. And I've spoken to him privately. So, you know, I reached out to him, asked for some help, and, you know, Seville didn't hesitate to offer his assistance. And unfortunately, my cousin didn't follow through. And Seville, I'll keep working on him. But I just want to thank him publicly because that meant a lot to me.
Thank you, brother. You know what I'm saying? You know, I would do that, you know what I'm saying, for anybody, brother, that I felt, man, you know, had black people in their heart, man, you know what I'm saying, and wanted to revive, you know, what's actually going on to our people, brother. So, you know, that's what I do. You know, I try to help my people in any way that I possibly can. And I know that the work is not for everybody. You know, I know that, you know, we in the battlefield out here, you know what I'm saying? That was out here taking pictures of me today, you know, so, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like I said, man, you know, I made it my mind to be in this war, you know, and I'm sincere about what, you know, I'm trying to do for my people, you know, any means necessary. You know, Malcolm said, you know, the best, you know what I'm saying? I'm in a war, you know, and if through the war, man, I have to, you know, go up against this beast, I will. I have no problem with that. You understand what I'm saying? You know, in the majority of the time, it'll probably be somebody that look just like me. You feel what I'm saying? You know, who's calling himself, you know what I'm saying, you know, a black man, you know what I'm saying, and the same black woman who try to annihilate somebody that's trying to do something positive. So, you know, we have you know, our work set for us, you know what I'm saying, you know, and there's so much going on. I mean, this European man never stops. You know what I'm saying, like the sister said earlier. You know, I mean, he's working, you know what I'm saying, 24/7 on trying to keep us down. And I don't knock him because he's being who he is and what he's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying, you know, and we supposed to fight, you know what I'm saying, and don't give up. You know what I'm saying, you know, our battle that we have to do. You know what I'm saying, you know, and I really think that more people are going to start waking up. You know what I'm saying, I think that this is the era in time, man, that, you know, a lot of people are going to come to the forefront. You know what I'm saying, sooner or later, man, we just can't give up, man. You know what I'm saying, all our information and trying to give the people, you know what I'm saying, you know, knowledge, you know what I'm saying, on, you know what I'm saying, what's actually going on. Because a lot of these people they don't have it in their minds or what's actually going on with the jobs being lost, people being fired, you know what I'm saying, you know, the stuff that's going on, you know what I'm saying, throughout the, you know, the Eastern, you know, hemisphere, you know what I'm saying, where it eventually will hit America, you know what I'm saying, people are taking that for granted, you know what I'm saying, you know that these people are playing with us, you feel what I'm saying, and they're not, you know what I'm saying, you know, be it do TV, be it do radio, I mean, whatever means they have to use to downgrade us as a people, and will continue to do, because, see, if nobody know who we really are, they do. They have all the secrets. They know that we are the first people. They know that everything comes from us. And this is why they fight so hard to keep us suppressed. Because like the sister said again earlier, man, if we ever wake up a little bit, it's going to be on and popping. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a problem, man, all over the world. Not just in America, but all over the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Black people are going to start to be, wake up, man, and do what they have to do, man, to get what was taken from us back in our hands.
Brother Seville?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say you correct and on point, Brother Hotep, because his time is up, and like you say, he's going to do everything he can, his power, you know, do what he can do, because, you know, especially when, you know, when his time is up. And like what the sister said hit me, like, she's right. Anybody who I feel inferior or beneath me, you know, I don't have to worry about them. Why work 24/7 to keep them down if, you know, they that inferior? And And I think a lot of people don't think about it like that.
You're right.
Because, they know who we are.
Yep.
Correct. And now, as you were saying, now we are seeing with this escalation, we're having a non-white president of the United States is going to go ahead with airstrikes against Libya. Now, this is white supremacist at its finest that's going to put two non-whites against each other to do their dirty work, to destroy another nation. They've already destroyed Iraq, Afghanistan, and working on Pakistan. Now they're trying to go after Libya. These people are not going to end until they have completely decimated the entire continent.
I think sooner or later they're gonna have their hands full. I wouldn't underestimate that part of the world. I think they're fully aware. They know who he is. They know who
Plus
he
they're
is.
tired of him.
Huh?
I mean, they don't report it in the news, but I do believe that, a lot of brown people across the world are tired of this man. Well, I ain't going to say man, but tired of it, as Celia Ducatiers would say.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, they're not going to they're going to paint the story so that America looks like the great white savior or something. But I think if you talk to people outside the country, I agree. They see that he's trying to do another 1492 on them, and I don't think it's going to go down. I think he's going to do a lot of damage, but I think ultimately he's going to lose.
Oh yeah, like I say, his time is up, and he's doing all he can before it's over.
They're not going to win another war. They could not even contain the Vietnamese. They had to give up and abandon ship and walk out, and these people had nothing but themselves to use as weapons. And that's the same thing the Afghanistan and the Pakistanis, they are doing. They are using themselves. You cannot go up against the people who are willing to lay their lives down and give it up. They don't care. Their lives don't mean nothing if they don't have the freedom that they want. But Americans are not in that mind mode. They want to come back home. They want to be with their family, and that mindset that they have, they're not going to win going against these people who are willing to give up everything, take themselves out, and take as many of them with them on their way out.
The devilish part of it, though, is that they talked, the white elite have talked for years about having a lot of endless wars, low-level wars. So in reality, I don't even think it's that they're trying to win the wars necessarily. It's just that there's so much money in wars, and it destabilizes the world. And I think that they go in a very low level, like what they're doing with Libya, very low key, and they do that because it serves their purpose. So it's like it's hard to even put yourself in their head because it's so devious.
And I also want to mention, like my dad would tell me, because he was in the Vietnam War, and he was saying it's not like how they try to portray in the John Wayne movie. He was like nobody's scared of the U.S. military. These people do not care.
These people are making up things. They're making their own homemade weapons, and they're coming out there, and they're strapping it on, and they're walking into buildings and doing it, putting these IEDs along the roadside. It doesn't make any sense. I hate to feel that way because I have family right now sitting in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And I've told them before, I said, y'all are just basically going there to secure the corporate entities, their fortune. You're there to protect it and make sure that these people do not walk off with it. That's all y'all are over there to do. Y'all on all this patriotic nonsense they're talking about on TV about protecting America's freedom and all of this nonsense. So I said, what does it have to do with you being thousands of miles away? You're protecting the Americans' freedom as if you were here in these United States. But you're not. You're outside of it. It has nothing to do. You're protecting the corporate interest.
That's why I always go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do anybody think that Barack Obama is going to get another term?
I wouldn't have thought. I'm glad you asked that. I would not have thought that 2 years ago. But let me ask you this. Have you noticed that the Republican Party is consistently and persistently setting itself up as the bad guy? the party against working people, the party against this, the party against that.
The unions,
it's
teachers,
it's almost like they're setting the stage to lose again, because we're less than a year away from them campaigning, and it's the profile of the Republicans is so negative. It's almost like they got a list of negative things that they can get public attention for that'll make the people mad. So I'm beginning to believe that the fix is in. Of course, the fix is always in, but I'm beginning to believe that they're getting ready to throw their own election again.
Yes, they are, because he's not going to make as much money as he did, because the corporations are not going to give him as much as he got on the last time, because it's going to be almost a $1 billion or $1 trillion campaign he's going to be running this time, because it was very expensive on the first go-around. Either which way, I know I'm not voting for him. It's not even going to happen. I hope a third-party candidate is out there, Cynthia McKinney, or whoever's out there, because he's not getting my vote.
Well, I believe that it's important, if I'm thinking the right way, and I could be wrong, but if he's the scapegoat that I believe he's destined to be, I believe that if you give him a second term, now he's got to be blamed for everything. If, the guy's in office for a year or two, you can't really legitimately blame him for the collapse of the American economy. But if you give him a second term, all of this stuff that's about to happen in the next year or so is going to fall on his head. And so I'm thinking that if he's supposed to be the scapegoat, he's got to stay in long enough to be the scapegoat.
He's going to be the scapegoat any which way pay him, because the way how things are going right about now, he's blaming for the meltdown with the jobs. Everyone is blaming him, saying that, okay, he came in there with change and he's supposed to bring the jobs back, and the jobs are not here. Whichever way it goes, the black man is going to be blamed for it, whether it be his fault or not. The tag, you're it. That's going to be it. And plus, he's not doing anything to help himself. All of these renditions and all of these secret prisons and all of these, the loss of the so-called freedom that we call ourselves having, the Patriot Act being renewed, and all of these wiretapping and everything else that's going on out here. We might as well just go ahead and see whatever so-called freedom you had as an American is gradually seeping away. We are in a police state.
Well, sister, basically, people of the United States don't elect the president.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? We don't elect the president.
You're right.
We have nothing to do with that. I mean, we can go to the polls and think that we're doing that, but you know what I'm saying? We don't elect the president. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. The Electoral College is the one that takes care of that, which is owned by the corporations.
There we go.
He also said it's a charade, the elections, which is true. It is a charade.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the people don't elect the president. That's decided decades ago.
That's right.
Yeah, so so they don't care what you vote for. They got the black box. They can throw any rabbit out the hat they want to. They don't care. You're just pushing a button.
See what's going to happen? This is the plan. Black people don't ask Obama for anything. They don't put no pressure on him. You know what I'm saying? They do nothing. So what's going to happen is that when he does what he got that he's going to do, what they're going to do is say, well, y'all didn't tell him that when he was in power, so why are you going to get this cracker that's in power now and tell him what he ain't do? You'll let him do. Y'all didn't say nothing to him when he was in power, so why you crying now?
Which is what they're saying right about now. They're complaining, saying, well, when Bush was in office, y'all black people didn't say nothing about Bush, what he was doing. Now, why you're running down this black man and telling him what he can and he cannot do? But you don't get something if you don't ask for it. And this man, he don't intend to do anything because he does not want to be associated with any sort of black issue or to be labeled as a black president. He wants to say he's president of all the people. So, and black people don't want to, they're satisfied to have the poster image of the first black president, the cute family, and they're very happy with that. They don't want anything else to disturb it.
I like that as a question. What did the panel think about, man, these slaves, you know what I'm saying, that were, that were still, you know what I'm saying, slavery still going on in 2009. What do you really have to say about this? You still got plantations going on with people on them as slaves. In 2009.
Right.
We've always had it. Look at the prison system. The prison system is the typical plantation. If they were to close the prison system in certain rural areas, they would go bankrupt because everybody there worked for the prison, whether it be as a guard, a warden, in health care, whatever capacity, they all work for the prison industrial complex. It would put that community under.
Right, true. You're right. No, but I'm talking about outside of the prison. I mean, I'm talking about, slavery like we heard about back in the days. I mean, they still got plantations. They still got people working for free, no labor. You know what I'm saying? And the Congress, matter of fact, the documents that I've seen on it, one of the cats went to Congress and asked them, well, what are y'all going to do about this? You still got plantations out here. You still got black people working for no money. You know what I'm saying? And supposedly they're supposed to bring it up and discuss it at some point, but it hasn't been nothing. Then Obama said this. He said that he don't want to be involved in the reparations or whatever. He said he's not, he don't think, I'm saying, that he's not going to address the issue of black people getting any reparations from slavery. He's not going to deal with that issue.
He's not going to deal with it because his family on his mother's side, they own slaves. If they would have to come up and pay up some money because he doesn't have any slave stock on his father's side. His father is first-generation African that came to the United States and met up with this white female who has slave history on their side, so it would have to be paid out on their side. And, of course, when it comes to white people having to pay up anything, he's not going to go against them.
In my opinion, Barack Obama, he doesn't really have the authority to address anything he's not told to address.
Correct.
So
True.
I don't think he's avoiding things as much as he has not been. That's not what he was put in office for. He wasn't selected for that. He was selected to address certain issues. He knows what his itinerary is, and he's following that the same way George Bush followed it. So I don't think he's in necessarily a position to deviate and to pursue things regardless of what they are. He's got to do the job he was hired to do. So that's what he's doing.
The whole system with the United States and the way how everything is set up, this stuff is going to have to just be toppled over completely and start all over again from the ground up, because the way how the status quo, the way how things are set up or how it's being ran, you're not going to get any justice from out of this system. No. It will have to be toppled over and start over again. It has to have a revolution number 2 to come on board.
Oh, believe me, just like Rome and all the other great empires, America is up due next. It's happening.
A lot of people are talking about this Illuminati, man. I mean, anybody on the panel, man, give this any validity? I mean, is this an actual fact? I mean, or is this something that's being, put out in society about, these people trying to do what they're trying to do, the New World Order or whatever?
This is the context of white supremacy.
I was just about to repeat what you guys just said. These are all sideshow things that are put out there to get you from focusing on the main issue.
I can hear you, Gus.
We're going to put up all of these. Don't look at me as this guy over here. He's the one. He has all the money. Look at his bloodline and all of this foolishness. They're all white people.
Thank you. This is Gus, Context of White Supremacy. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. I want to be very clear. Tater Pie, I think she made quite a few videos. It is not the Illuminati. It is racist man and racist woman, and I have seen many non-white people go way awry of the problem, which I'm saying is white people off into Illuminati and what have you, and I would prefer to let's just stay focused on white people directly and not the Illuminati issues, at least on this program. I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying that I'd rather be very clear about what I'm saying the problem is and the context of this program.
But who the Illuminati is? They talk about the Bilderbergers and all of these people. They're all white people. So any which way, what names you want to come up with, whatever new names you want to come on, the Club of Rome and all of these other names that they're coming up with, they're all white people.
Mm-hmm.
But let me say this real quick. They do exist, but one thing I agree with Bobby Hemmett on, it don't mean they're not up to anything, but I believe they just putting a lot of stuff out there to have people in fear, you know, playing the game with people. Like I say, it don't mean they're not up to nothing.
Fear sells. And that's what the white man has been doing from day one, is to scare you, to make you do what he wants you to do. That's the only way to know to get people to do is to scare the daylights out of you.
And like Dr. What's his name, Akbar, the brother, like he say, we ought to, our people ought to stop being surprised when the white man does something. As long, you know, we know it's history. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. So what's the purpose of all these exposures being put out now? You're exposing LeBron James. You're exposing Michael Jordan. You're exposing, you know, Michael Jackson or how he was killed. You know what I'm saying? You're exposing, you know what I'm saying, all these individuals. I mean, there's about 20 exposures out now. All right. Now, what is the purpose of putting this out to the community to actually say that, you know what I'm saying, these people are living this particular kind of lifestyle? I mean, what is the objective to that?
To distract from racism, white supremacy.
You're right, Minnie. They want to get your eyes off of them. White people, they're playing this magician trick. So pull the rabbit out the hat, have everything going and pulling ribbons out of your ear, pulling pennies and everything, and have you looking every which way, but looking at the hands. Look to see which one is performing the trick. That's all it is. It's a trick game.
I think it's a little more. I would say that it's all what you guys say, but it's also, I think, it's setting up the classic scapegoat situation. I believe personally that when you're getting ready to move against the population, the first thing you have to do is diminish the value of their lives. And this is what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said. She said, if we go back to Nazi Germany and Joseph Goebbels, who understood if we keep putting out negative images of Semites and the Jewish religion, we can train the population to say, look, they're animals, they're not human, and so the sooner we get rid of them, the better. So I believe that all this negative imagery, the pressures, these black athletes going to jail, black people, just these savage black people, I believe, quite frankly, that they are setting up the population, the black population, with these reports coming out about putting black people and busing them to farms to work. I believe all of that should be taken seriously. These people are sick of us. They are not going to keep feeding, housing, and clothing poor people, particularly poor black people. And I'm saying that they have an agenda. Barack Obama, being this major scapegoat, is going to make us all guilty by association. I believe they're setting up a massive scapegoat situation for the coming collapse of the American economy. And I believe they know their people very well. They know them, what their mentality is. They know if they push them in a certain direction. So I think that black people need to take every threat seriously. Every article that has to do with do this to black people, do black people this way, we need to be paying attention.
Free. That's why everyone who's talking about all of this coming together and the poor whites and the blacks need to come together and form coalition. No, we don't have a coalition with them. We are not going to. I get tired when I hear this rhetoric from these black, so-called black leaders saying we have to do this. They're trying to divide this classism. No, because white people, as poor as they might be, could be living under the ground in a mud hut. They have their white skin, and they think they're better than you. It doesn't matter what you do to them. They're going to knife you in the back. I don't believe in forming coalitions with your enemies.
No. Like Dr. John Henry Clark said, we black people have no friends, and that's the real deal, honest truth. We have no friends. I don't care if you're talking about poor whites, Hispanics, Asians, Arabs. We have
black
no
people.
friends.
Black people.
Non-white.
Non-white. Okay.
No, I mean,
non-white.
I was adding black people. I was adding black people to the list. I was adding black people to the list of people that you cannot count on as friends.
That's true.
Well, that is true.
We will throw each other under the bus, so to speak.
But the reality is what happens, though. You have all these powerful organizations out here now, which is one of the most powerful is the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I be the seat with them every day. You know what I'm saying? You have, you know what I'm saying, the Israelite brothers. You have the Moore Science brothers. You have all these organizations. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have the Marcus Garvey, you know what I'm saying, movement. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, at some point, I would think that, you know, sooner or later, man, you know, we're going to have to sit down. I mean, if all of these, you know, brothers who's giving all these powerful lectures, which is a good thing, people need the information, but at the end of the day, man, if you have brothers telling me that you're going back to Africa and, you know, you're investing in Africa and you want to build up, you know, Africa, man, you know what I'm saying, that's where we all should be pointing our fingers towards. You know, owning something over there, like everybody else is going over there trying to get a piece of, you know what I'm saying, our you know what I'm saying, our continent. You know what I'm saying, you know, what y'all think about that?
I think we have to keep our stakeholders. That's always the motherland for us. We don't know what tribe, what group we came out of, what country we came from. It's most unfortunate because the Japanese, the Chinese, they could always have their motherland that they can go back to. The Irish, the Italians, they can claim some part of Italy or wherever it's home for them. Unfortunately for us as blacks, because of this thing called slavery, we have no real connection to say what part of the continent we are. So we would just have to claim the whole continent and protect it for the non-whites against the white invasion and the other non-whites, the Chinese and the others that are coming in there to exploit.
Right. That's why, Brother Seville, that's why I feel like Sonetta, I don't get caught up in the titles of more Hebrew Israelites. I feel I'm all that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of these so-called black organizations, because I'm looking at Minister Farrakhan, I respect the brother and what he's trying to do. But when you start opening your doors and letting other non-whites into your organization that was set up for black people, now you have the Hispanics and everyone else coming in there and being a part of it, you have diluted the true meaning of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what he started off trying to do for his people.
Well, I'm trying to figure out the Scientology part of this thing, you know. I mean, I talk to these brothers every day, man, you know, and a Muslim brother told me, man, that, you know, that God gave, you know, Edward Hubbard insight of some knowledge. He told me this today, you know what I'm saying? That's why Farrakhan ordered them to pursue Scientology. Now, I couldn't understand what he was saying. I was listening to him, you know, when he was saying that, you know, but I'm still trying to find out, man, what is the real root of this? You know what I'm saying? You know, because this man carries a lot of power, you know what I'm saying, in black America, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that love him. I'm not saying that, you know, everything that the brother says, you know what I'm saying, is right and exact, but he has done some work. You feel me? But at the same token, I don't understand what that Scientology is about. I'm still behooved by that. You know, why he would incorporate that inside of his institution, you know?
Still the white man's religion. The white man is God because it's still L. Ron Hubbard, and whatever he's putting out there, they're still going after the white man's God.
And plus, I believe Islam is not an African religion anyway. It didn't come from us. I don't believe that.
All forms of spirituality came from us as a people. From blacks. If you go back and you look where it started from, but of course the Arabization of the religion, just like the Caucasian have taken over Christianity, the Arabs have taken over Islam when it was from where it was originally started. So when people think of Islam, they think of Arabs.
You know, a lot of the Africans think African Americans or black Americans are compromised people.
Which we are. We forgive. We are so easy to forgive and turn the other cheek and
love everybody.
We to love everybody, but to love ourselves and our people closest to us. But we're going to love some strangers. That's why we can't progress, because we're so busy loving other people except ourselves.
Well, there aren't just these widespread open arms, the African arms of all the countries of the continent waiting for Black Americans to come to the motherland. And I think that this romance with the motherland, that there's a lot of reality checking that can happen with just the relationships that African Americans have with Africans here in this country.
That is why you're seeing all of these non-denominational, multicultural churches are sprouting up like beans or weeds all over the place, where they're saying, we don't care what your nationality, or like, for instance, like Joel Osteen and all of these people they're popping up because they know between the non-white blacks and the other, the Hispanics and the others out there, we are very, very generous when it comes to paying tithes before we take care of our own family business. So they don't mind being non-denominational, multinational, multiracial in order to get you all up in there.
You know, I have a suggestion. This is Pam. Why don't we declare cows as our religion and our church and start paying tithes to it? Good idea. What you think about that? $5 a month from everybody right now. Go to PayPal. I'm joking, but seriously, you know.
Seriously, Pam, I'm going to do this. And I'm on my laptop. I'm going to go ahead. And I meant to do it. I'm in the process of moving right about now. Mm-hmm. And I have a Gus. I have an issue just like Zanelli was speaking of in the UK with the white mover that came to her house. I had the same experience that happened today when the Packers came to my house. So was similar.
So what
to
does that got to do with you supporting the cows?
Yeah, not meaning to change the subject, but it happened to me today, and I was furious.
I'll just throw this one last thing out, and then I'll step back. And that is, you know, I know it's hard economic times. I understand all that. I'm not putting nobody on the spot. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm personally going to try to make a bigger effort to support the things that I think are important. You know, and even if it's just a couple of dollars, I'm going to try to make the effort because I think it reinforces your commitment. I think it really has a real spiritual significance when black people start to support the things that really benefit us. You know, so, you know, anyway. Okay, I'm done.
I agree with you, Pam. This is Minnie B. I agree with you, and I think that people should figure out their budget and budget something. And that if you haven't contributed to the cows, it's not too late. And I don't think that Gus would turn down anything.
And, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, like I say, I respect everybody's, I know these are financial times, are challenging. Those who, you know, people in, you know, certain situations difficult, cool, no problem, understand it. Not a problem. No pressure, I'm not putting no pressure on anybody. I'm just basically thinking that I've got to start supporting the things that I say are important because I know I've gone to churches with other people and I wasn't feeling it, and I put some in the collection plate anyway because I thought I was supposed to. You know? And the preacher was talking yin-yang and entertaining. One guy, he was rolling on the floor, putting on a big show. And it was such a good show, I put $20 in the plate until I realized, walked out of there yesterday, and I say, damn, I just been pimped.
Wow.
You know? So all I'm saying is if I can put $20 in a pimp's plate, I can put $20 in the cow's PayPal account. So, you know, and if I can go get an Arab's, $15 for some fish, and I don't buy fish anymore from Arabs. I don't not let them cook my food anymore because these were two bigger slave traders. And now they're in our communities. You know what I mean? It's really disgraceful that we would allow the Arab community to come into our neighborhoods and cook our fish and fry our hair. It's just disgraceful. So if I can get a Korean's money and I can get an Arab's money and I can get a white man money and I can give Comcast cable money, you know, and they ain't do number poisoning me, but I still watch it. So all I'm saying is, you know, is I can definitely, I'm going to try to figure out and make some kind of pledge, even if it's a little bit. And I'm going to try to do something consistently because we're getting this for free. And it shouldn't be free. I mean, it should be free.
What are you talking about should be free?
Huh?
What should be free?
Well, I mean, I'm glad the C.O.W.S is free for people to come and listen to it, but I'm saying that if you really value it, you'll support it. That's all I'm saying.
It's not really free because he has to pay a hosting fee.
Well, yeah, not to him. I'm talking about to the listeners.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I think that it would be a great psychological benefit for us to get stronger and start supporting the things that we say. You know, put our money where our mouth is. Stop playing.
Well, believe me, Pam, I do, because I go to black business. I don't buy anything from the Koreans, the Arabs. I don't go to their gas stations. I don't do anything from them. Until we get a black supermarket chain, unfortunately, I'm going to have to keep going to the white people's store and buying my groceries from them.
Yeah, no shame in that. You got to eat.
Hey, gang, we got about 8 minutes left in the program. I just wanted to remind folks the program tomorrow, Black Hair and White Supremacy. I think Pam will be back with us. I'm going to get her to correct me again. I believe it's Zanelle. Zanelle, she'll be here. I believe caller in Georgia, lots of other folks. Showtime is 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. For folks in the UK. Yeah, tune in tomorrow. Should be great. And Mr. Fuller will be here on Sunday. Really looking forward to that, 8 p.m. this Sunday. Pam, one of the listeners, they wanted to know what you mean when you say race. We got 8 minutes left. I'm going to mute my line. But, yeah, they wanted to know from Pam what you mean when you say race.
Race? Wow. You know, that has come up again, and I admit there's some confusion. I guess when I think of race, and this is maybe incorrect, I think I heard that it was incorrect, I think of a group of people bounded by, connected by ethnicity, culture, possibly location. I look at, I did call black people a race, but I guess I think somebody corrected me about that. So, and I don't think I said it tonight, the word race. So the way I've used race previously, that's the way I've used it, is to describe a group, ethnic group.
Yeah, well, something, sister, I would tell them to go to Webster. The man that created, the language, and actually look up what race means. So somebody disputing that, we're not speaking our own language, we're speaking somebody else's language, you know what I'm saying? And if the definition of what race is what you're saying, then that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? People tend to disagree with people's, statements, man, but, show and prove that what I'm saying is not accurate. You say, go look the word up and see what the word means. You know what I'm saying? In your dialogue.
Oh, I wanted to make sure I got this in before the program ends. And there's no disrespect to the gentleman on the phone, but with counter-racist logic, when you're dealing with white people, and I just use this with everyone, but especially when you're dealing with white people, you cannot let the conversation go that way. If someone uses a term, they should be able to explain the term. The procedure is not go to the dictionary or go look it up online. You use the term, you should be able to explain it. And this is elementary school logic. This is grade school. If you have any second grade teacher who is even mediocre at her job can explain, you do not use terms if you don't know what they mean, because you can't really be certain of what you're saying. So anytime,
that's true,
if you get confused about a term, you don't know what it means, even if you do know what it means, but you're just not sure how that particular person is using the term, the procedure is, wait a minute, what do you mean when you say whatever the term is, and you let them explain? I don't want the dictionary. I don't want Webster. I want what you mean when you use the term. And if they can't do it, they're going to have to back up off whatever they just said because they don't know what they're talking about.
You're right,
and even if they don't do it, you should make a note in your mind. This person could not explain what they were talking about. If it's a white person, I suspect that's an act of deception and racism, white supremacy. If it's a non-white person, I just suspect that they don't know what they're talking about. They're probably confused.
I totally agree with you, my brother. When you say it like that, you're right and exact. I can't go against that. It's right and exact. You're right. Perfectly right, my brother.
You're right. Yeah, every question is legitimate. You know, because you never know if the person's really trying to get something clarified. Even if it sounds kind of like they're just putting you on the spot, it's important, you know, that every question is relevant. I mean, every question deserves to be, addressed, I guess.
Well, I'm going to go get my hair done for the show tomorrow.
I hope it's not an error of fixing your hair.
Right, I'm shampooing mine, too.
We're going to talk about it.
Good night, people.
Good night.
But, you know, if it's one thing that we as a group we need to get out of our vocabulary is that word minority. We need to stop referring to ourselves as minority. And I've started doing it for the past 2 years. I've objected to it being referred to as a minority, and we need to stop calling ourselves minority because we are not a minority.
We're the majority.
Worldwide.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because, you know, I can remember when I first, you know, really started getting into my history and found out, you know, our people were everywhere before anyone else, man. It made me feel good.
They're all over the place.
Yep.
I mean, before we go, I think we got like 2 minutes, but is an Indian original, or is he somebody else?
Talking about the so-called Indian from over here, or
the one in Asia?
I mean, everywhere that the invader came, when he came to Puerto Rico, they were paid like Indians. When he went to the Dominican Republic, there were Indians there. I mean, they call Haiti now, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But there were Indians in all of these different places in South America. I mean, are they the original people, or would you say they're not?
They were so-called original to that land at that time, but you have to still look at that. If we were to say that the etymology say that everything came out of Africa, then they are descendants of Africa, but they happen to be in this particular spot and place, Native Americans, as they would like to be referred to, or First Nation.
Anybody else got anything to say about that?
Nah.
There are more native here than the Caucasian who showed up, 300-400 years ago.
True. You know, I'm just trying to get a take on it, you know, because you have, you know, I had people say Hispanic, and the word Hispanic came out in 1970. Before that, the Puerto Rican, Dominican, the Cuban, all the rest of them were considered black people. And